looking at highs into the lower 70s. Saturday, going to be seeing a cold front moving through, highs to the mid-60s, looking at a major cool down Sunday into the mid-40s. The First Alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
So New York City voters were literally deciding on basically a communist to run their city or not. California is deciding on gerrymandering by the people. Well, and also all those races in Virginia. What do they tell us about what's to come, if anything? Well, what do you think? Let me know. 314-912-1019. Hey, good morning. We're going to be breaking down the results of all of those elections throughout the day, including the one and only Tony Kinnett going to be with us at 8:05. Interesting situation here in the St. Louis area, St. Louis County. Kirkwood, another situation in the Kirkwood district where the fringe leftists who seem to run the school district there decide that they are going to push LGBT extremism onto their students. Mary Catherine Martin with the Thomas More Society is among the legal team trying to hold them to account. And she gave us the update on it on Tuesday's show with guest co-host Tony Lavasco.
We're talking about your organization, Thomas More Society, getting involved in a case in Kirkwood because you've got the school district using the school district resources, not just as being friendly to LGBT stuff, but you're talking about actually pushing it. What is it that you're bringing attention to? What actually happened? We'll start there.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and I'd be happy to tell you what happened. I wish it were more unusual, but as you say, I don't think it's remarkable. What we're pursuing here is a development in the law that may give parents new rights. So what is not new is North Kirkwood Middle School aired a school announcement. It's a 4 to 5 minute episode of what is called announcements that's shown to the entire school, includes a message from an assistant principal, and then a 3.5 minute ad for LGBTQ plus History Month, which is October, has been designated as LGBTQ plus History Month. And they use it as an occasion to educate everybody in the school on the history of Pride and LGBTQ plus and the Pride flag. And in the words of the Supreme Court recently, it's an unmistakably normative video that the school showed to all of its students without providing parents any notice and any opportunity to opt their child out. And that's the violation that we're pursuing here.
They have another month? I thought June was their month.
Well, I did learn from the video, as you are learning from the video, that yes, there is a History Month, and all the students now at North Kirkwood Middle School are very well aware of it, and they have been reminded that Pride reminds us to stand up for fairness and equality and support others. These are the kinds of statements that encourage and to even apply pressure to accept certain views and to oppose opposing views. And that's exactly what parents have a right to opt out of.
So I'm curious. I know a lot of school districts will kind of outsource that announcement period to a third-party company that'll like produce content for local news or issues or whatnot. Do we know, is that what's going on here? Or is the school district kind of punting and saying, oh, well, it's not our fault, it was someone else's content? Or are they directly responsible for this? Do you know?
Well, the narrators and producers apparently of the video were the students. So
that makes it kind of hard to explain away, doesn't it?
Students, yes,
oh, man.
Unless they're renting students from another school district. This was a student produced material, 3 minutes of incantations of praise for the history of the LGBTQ plus movement, the Pride flag, Pride support flag. And we're not even aware, we suspect that it is the case, that these students who were used in the production of this video, their parents also did not receive an opt-out. And then since it has been aired, it's in at least one place it's accessible to at least one class of students in their class notes from that day on the school iPads. So it's a continuing violation.
So
it's also available, by the way, on the YouTube page. If anyone would like to see what we're talking about, the North Kirkwood Middle School YouTube and it's linked in our on our website at thomasmoresociety.org.
Okay, so is the problem that it's being made available or being offered at the school, or is it a matter of the parents were not given the heads up and the ability to opt out? Now, first of all, I agree with what I'm hearing you say. The schools should not be in this business whatsoever. This is absolute indoctrination. So is the legal issue at hand here the fact that they have it in the school, or the fact that no parents were told about this, because there's no way that that's accidental?
Absolutely, and thank you for distinguishing here. No one is making a legal claim that that the school cannot have material on this subject in the curriculum. That is beyond the edge of the law. Okay, but what is clear is that the Supreme Court has recently clarified the rights of parents when their school wants to present material that threatens to undermine their religious beliefs, which the Supreme Court was very clear in the Mahmoud case this spring. LGBTQ plus gay pride material absolutely threatens to undermine the religious beliefs of many Americans, including people who live in Kirkwood. And so when that's the case, the right that we're asserting is and was clearly laid out recently by the Supreme Court, is the right for parents to know about that in advance and to opt their child out. And so in no case would it ever come to a school-wide announcement, right, that would be that no child was exempted from.
Mary Catherine, we're visiting with Mary Catherine Martin from the Thomas More Society. Have you gotten a response from the school yet on this? Where are we when it comes to the process of objecting to it?
Sure. We offered them what we call a demand letter, in which we made clear their legal violation and what they needed to do to rectify it. And namely, the most immediate thing would be to take these videos down, particularly from the access from students on iPads. And as of this morning, they have not done that. We have asked them to reply what their intentions are by this Thursday. And in the meantime, we do represent a parent group, Kirkwood for Educational Integrity, that's existed for the purpose of asserting these kinds of issues with the district and letting parents know when this kind of material shows up in schools so that they can appropriately at least react at home, and then also assert their rights with the school district. They've existed formally since 2021. These parents have been working since before 2019. And in fact, this group coalesced around trying to come to an agreement with the district about the definition of controversial issues and letting parents know when controversial issues are going to show up in the curriculum. And what do you know? 6 years on, here's the Supreme Court saying you were right the whole time. The whole time, these things, you should have known about these things before they were happening with your children.
Okay, so then we don't really know whether this is going to end up being something that settles, where they essentially say, okay, fine, you caught us, I won't do it. Whether it ends up being a legal issue, ends up in the courts. But the bottom line is, I get that the K-12 public education system is captured by the far left. I understand that. But the overt intention, stated intention, and clear intention of the state legislature, which oversees public education in the state, is very, very, very clear. They can't reasonably argue that, well, we didn't realize this was going to be affected by that law. I mean, there's no way they can make that argument. They just simply got caught violating it.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I don't feel sorry for Kirkwood. This is the second lawsuit I have going against them because they appear to, in both of these lawsuits, we're asserting parents' rights. Let's put it that way. Okay. But I will say that this kind of indoctrination is pervasive. And it did just reach the Supreme Court, this particular issue. It was, in that case, it was pride storybooks being read to younger children. But the Supreme Court has recently clarified the law in this area. But this kind of practice is going on all over the place, and hopefully now a few school districts, hopefully will only take a few before they realize that they're going to end up in court for this kind of activity. So Kirkwood I think it stands out because we are among the first to find such a blatant violation that it would be easy to take it to court. This is not a close issue. Mm-hmm. The exact controversial issue the Supreme Court considered and already found offensive to religious beliefs. And so, we're here on the leading edge of this, but this is something that every school district in America should be paying attention to now. Thomas More Society and other organizations have developed model policies and model opt-outs for parents to submit. They don't have to wait for a violation to assert their rights. School districts now have to listen to opt-outs on the basis of religious beliefs. So there are a lot of resources out there for parents now. And one of these cases or several is going to end up in court, and the parents are going to have their rights vindicated.
Okay, we just got a minute or so left, and I want to give out to your all's organization's website and things like that. We'll do that here in just a moment. But when it comes to the role of the school district as government, okay, the fact of the matter is that LGBT stuff is part of communities for good, bad, or otherwise. What is the right allowance, if any, of the materials in the school district at all? Or is this something that the school districts should just simply have no part of? What would be permissible, or is any of it permissible?
Well, under the law, right now what we have is a system where they can speak about controversial issues that threaten to undermine religious beliefs, but where an objection is based on a religious exercise of the family's religious beliefs, any parent can assert any objection in advance to certain material, and the school district has to give them notice and the opportunity to opt out. Now, you and I both know that resources are scarce, right? And that opt-outs, and the school district, in fact, defended itself in the Supreme Court by saying, oh, this will be so expensive, right? So expensive to honor opt-outs and so difficult. Well, yes, one option is to continuously provide this material and continuously provide huge numbers of opt-outs, okay? And that's not a defense, because the Supreme Court said, you're making your own problem there by providing so much of it. Okay, so the alternative I would hope for, and that I know you would hope for, is that school districts would recognize that it is not worth the cost to them to continuously provide indoctrination on controversial issues, and that maybe they could just return to the issues that no one opts out of, like math.
Yeah.
And so that's how we hope that this will operate. That parents will submit opt-outs based on their sincerely held beliefs, and that honoring them will appropriately price this kind of activity for the school district.
But makes sense. But they can only opt out if they know about it. And it sounds like nobody knew about this.
Well, with this right comes the obligation for them to provide notice. And I would just point out, this is another example in the law where there are plenty of exceptions to school curriculum provided for other things than religion, right? Like individual learning plans, sometimes for sports, sometimes for adjusted schedules, sometimes because people want to partly homeschool. And where those things are available for other things, the school district cannot say, well, I'm sorry, when it comes to your religious beliefs, we do not have the money to honor that, right? We do not, that's too inconvenient for us. So that's the other area. That's the other analogy we have here, is that school districts are going to cry that this is too expensive while they're giving this kind of credence to all kinds of other priorities.
I don't know, Mary Catherine, it sounds like you're arguing that the parents are the ones who actually are responsible for the upbringing of their children, not the government schools. I don't know. It's radical.
Can you believe that? I know. Put it on a T-shirt.
All right. And we learn more about what you all do at Thomas More Society. How and where?
ThomasMoreSociety.org. There's a legal help tab. We're providing opt-outs and model policies, and we're working on those and getting those, updating them continuously. Parents can contact us directly.
All right, got some thoughts on that? Let me know. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Salute the savings at Country Mart this Veterans Day with our 3-day sale November 7th through 9th. Fire up the grill with family pack ground beef, only $3.99 a pound. Assorted Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, or 7-Up 6-packs. An amazing 3 for $10. We're also featuring Lay's party-size potato chips, $4.49. Hunt's tomatoes, 4 for $4, and Best Choice ice cream just $4.98. Salute the savings at Country Mart November 7th through 9th. 925 Plaza Drive in St. Clair.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, does having more economic freedom make a difference in people's lives, such as maybe helping reduce poverty?
It definitely makes a difference. Economic freedom is critical for fostering well-being and prosperity. It enables people to make their own choices and pursue their own interest, like choosing careers, starting businesses, and innovating to make the world better. It thrives in environments that empower people, promote competition, and protect property rights, all while being supported by limited and healthy government. Economic freedom is a catalyst for generating higher incomes, greater wealth, more opportunities, better access to education, and improved health at all levels of society. It makes a difference.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Hey, we need to talk. You're not sleeping. Your back hurts. You're tossing and turning like a rotisserie chicken. This is a sleep intervention. It's time to stop guessing and start snoozing. This Black Friday, get up to $600 off Beauty Rest Black, up to $900 off Stearns & Foster, and serious savings across the store. At Snooze, we use real Mayo Clinic pressure mapping technology to match you to the perfect mattress fast. Locally owned, fully stocked, ridiculously comfortable. Come in, lie down, change your life. If you don't snooze, you lose.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I guess let the wailing and gnashing of teeth begin.
Yeah.
Sort of? Okay. I mean, I don't want to make, I don't want to detach too much from this. So there's a couple of questions that we've got. And by the way, 314-912-1019, kind of a morning long, jump ball on these things. One, I guess there's three questions. One, okay, what happened? Why did voters in so many different areas of the country go hard fringe, in one case, socialist / communist left? Yeah. Okay. So that's one. Two, what is it that you think this says about what's ahead, if anything? We talked to Matthew Hurt from the Arlington County, Virginia Republican Party. I mean, literally in the belly of the beast, ground zero on the Virginia elections. And we asked him, so what does this say about momentum for the Democrats in the next year? Because I think we all knew the Democrats were going to have a good night. Let's be candid. The Democrats basically swept the big stuff, and it wasn't close.
Not even close.
Not close at all. He argued, no, these are really local and state elections. I think it's probably a combination of some, because you look at what happened in California, and to me, that's the most consequential election on their Prop 50. Mm-hmm. I am telling you, we've got the elections in 2026. Illinois might gerrymander as well. They still have time to do that. And even if they don't, in 2027, are you prepared to start talking about Speaker Hakeem Jeffries? So getting a lot of discussion on Rumble in particular right now, Facebook too. So let me know what you think here, because this feels bigger than just one off-year election to me. I can't put my finger on it. Do I think it's the end of the world? No, but I've been around for a long time to know that there are times when the momentum shifts. Is this a momentum shift, or is this just a quick aberration? Because what I'm going to challenge everybody to do, let's be really honest about it. Our side got thumped yesterday. So let's talk about why. And we're talking New Jersey. We're talking Virginia. We knew New York City was lost. Listen, nothing about that surprises me. The only thing, and I know I shouldn't be laughing at it, but I'm kind of laughing at it. The Republican candidate in this case, how do you always mispronounce his name? Sliwa, whatever, the guy with the beret.
Yeah.
In his speech last night, he was threatening. He was like, ma'am Dami, if you make this a socialist country, if you defund our police, if you do this, we're going to organize, we're going to mobilize, we're going to be your worst. I'm like, dude, you got 7% of the vote. Sit down. Sit down. Good, great job on the Guardian Angels. You've done a lot of great work, but electorally, sit down. You're not needed in the conversation.
Hey, I appreciate the spirit, though.
Sure.
I mean, it is a little bit performative when you got whooped so bad, but
yeah,
it's also says a lot, perhaps. And I don't know what his platform was or what his policies were, but I do like the fact that he wants to keep that going. But it looks like a lot of what the Democrats are doing right after President Trump got elected, where it's like, we're not going to take it. It's like, well, you kind of have to. We won.
Yeah. This is the reality we have to deal with. Okay. I do think New York City, as a lot of pundits are rushing to be the influencers, I do think they are right about this. Shows you what the future of the Democratic Party is.
Oh yeah,
at least over the next several years. This is what it says. So we're going to get into that. A lot of comments forthcoming there. Let me know what you think. Okay, were any of these elections the right, good turnout that we wanted? Absolutely not. Of course not. So it should make us reevaluate, okay, where are we in the country? It's one thing to say how awful this is, but it's another one to say, how do we defeat it when they got the last inning? They won the last inning on this, and they won it big. So this would be the equivalent of, we're playing a 9-inning baseball game, and inning 6 right now, they just hit 3 grand slams. So what do we do in inning 7? All right, who we got?
We have Scott.
Scott, I got about 60, maybe 90 seconds for you before we got to hit the news.
Sure. Good morning, gentlemen. I think it was predictable what happened. The reliably Democrat areas. The fact that it's even in play and people were talking about it, I think is remarkable considering where things were as little as 8 years ago. So I'm not upset about that. I am upset with what appears to be people probably young, probably born after 9/11 that have elected an Islamist who would like to see our country as founded fail. And, sometimes the voters need to be punished. And I'm hopeful that happens. I'm hopeful that New York turns into an economic cesspool, that the businesses pull out and leave, so long as in 4 years, 2 years, wherever, the United States doesn't bail them out of their bankruptcy.
Good point there, Scott. We're running right to the hard break here. Thanks so much. Hey, that's an interesting take on it. I mean, a lot of this, I think Scott's right. This was predictable. Just the margins were a lot bigger than I thought.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option, it's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. A late night, not a great night for Republicans. They got trounced in yesterday's midterm elections in New York City, New Jersey, and Virginia. New York's next mayor will be socialist Zohran Mamdani.
Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
In New Jersey, Democrat Mikey Sherrill is the governor-elect. Virginia sending Democrat Abigail Spanberger to the governor's mansion. The Democrat congressional redistricting plan has won voter approval in California.
This gives Democrats a boost in their bid to win the U.S. House majority next year. The approval of Proposition 50 could allow Democrats to gain as much as 5 additional seats in the 2026 midterms. That's when Democrats hope to gain the power to block President Trump's agenda in Congress. California Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom pushed the Prop 50 measure in response to a GOP-led redistricting effort in Texas.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart. Elsewhere, the Democrats will retain 3 seats on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. President Trump is suggesting the government shutdown played a role in the midterm blue wave. The National Transportation Safety Board to investigate the deadly crash of a UPS cargo plane in Kentucky. 7 people were killed when the aircraft crashed and burned upon takeoff at the Louisville airport. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear.
The main area hit consisted of 2 businesses, though we know there were more businesses impacted.
Of the 7 people who died, 4 of them were on the ground. The others were crew members on board the plane. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures have been in the red so far. The Dow futures are down 27 points. NASDAQ futures off 132, and the S&P futures 21 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures a little bit warmer to start this morning into the mid-50s. This afternoon, a high of 69 degrees, looking mostly sunny. Winds gustier out of the southwest up to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, tracking temperatures back towards the mid-60s. Partly cloudy Friday, some AM rain chances, looking at highs into the lower 70s. Saturday, going to be seeing a cold front moving through, highs to the mid-60s, looking at a major cool down Sunday into the mid-40s. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here for Newstedter's Fine Jewelry right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend. WowDiamonds.com. It's Wow Diamonds for a reason. These are beautiful lab-grown diamonds. They are gorgeous. They will blind you when you walk in and see them, but that's a good thing. Great engagement sets, wedding sets, all these beautiful God-created gems, sapphires, rubies, you name it, garnets, and also all the gold you need, and the famous Bull of a Watch, WowDiamonds.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore.
If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Today's story behind the story, my journey from cowboy to bull rider.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up. This is your cousin.
All right, make fun of them all you want, and we will. But the fringy leftists had a big night. They won some big races.
They did.
You know, this was basically a clean sweep of the major races around the country, not just for the Democrats, but for the far left.
That's true.
Without a doubt. Also, the Supreme Court, this is getting lost in all of the election news. The Supreme Court is going to hear arguments on whether the president actually has the authority to unilaterally impose tariffs. Mm-hmm. This is a massive decision the Supreme Court's going to make one way or the other. Massive one. And the Blues try to build some momentum. It is 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and get started with a news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, going to start right here, though. Voters rejected a majority of the tax increase proposals in the St. Louis area on Tuesday.
Oh, that's disheartening.
Yeah, so we're going to go into more depth on this around 6:20. Then we're going to get into the national stuff. Creve Coeur and Bell Fountain neighbors approved their sales tax increases that were on the ballot. Ladue, Festus, and Veneta Park rejected sales tax proposals. Okay. Voters in the Melville School District said yes to the property tax increase, while voters in the Rockwood School District rejected that property tax.
Good.
I've got some thoughts on that because everybody associated with the Rockwood School District right now should be ashamed of that district right now. Clayton City Charter will be more gender neutral after voters there approved the amendment that was on the ballot.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll get into some of the numbers, percentages, because they were one thing that was very, very consistent is very, very, very few people made the decisions on these.
Go figure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get into that. All right. Okay. I'm going to do just one thing on the shutdown stuff here. And then probably other than news dump, we just got other things to talk about. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy speaking alongside other officials about the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, which is really not what this story is about, where he was briefly discussing the ongoing shutdown, and the secretary once again calling on Democrats to support a Republican bill to end the shutdown. Rather, we're now day 36, I think it is. That sound right?
What is today? The 5th of November?
Yeah.
So yeah, 36.
Day 36. Okay.
Sorry, I had to do math.
Yep. He it's a little early for math.
It is.
He warned that there could be dire consequences for U.S. airspace if the shutdown continues.
If you bring us to a week from today, Democrats, you will see mass chaos. You will see mass flight delays. You'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers.
And the Democrats in the U.S. Senate yesterday did vote again. Most of them voted again to keep the government shut.
Yeah, it was the same split.
Yep, exact same one. So that's what, 14 times?
That was the
now?
14th.
14 times, Yep. All right, let's start in California here. Californians approved the new congressional redistricting. That's what Proposition 50 was. California Governor Gavin Newsom commenting on that, saying, you know what this is all about? Orange man bad.
People waiting up 3 hours to cast their vote, to send a message to Donald Trump. No crowns, no thrones, no kings.
And by the way, it's not accidental that he's using the no kings thing.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. So this is actually, I think, of all the elections, I know that most of the attention is going to be on New York City because a complete, at least socialist, if not communist, was elected. And I understand that. And we're going to talk about that because I think that is an interesting question about what does this say about the future of the Democratic Party right now and the future of the left in general. I think the most consequential results yesterday was that Prop 50 passing.
Yes. From a nationwide standpoint.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. New York City, basically, maybe you decided to fan the flames that was already burning down your city. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. But the Prop 50 is going to affect everybody.
Yes, it is.
You may ready to start saying Speaker Jeffries?
No, I am not.
Okay. We won't do that.
Please no.
Not until 2027.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to have, I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually do that if that ever comes to pass.
Yeah. So we got plenty to talk about on that. All right. Zoran Mamdani is now the mayor-elect of New York City. And he, in his acceptance speech, victory speech last night, of course, said that a lot of this was about what? Orange Man Bad.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him.
Okay. Well, so basically you've got little mini JB Pritzker. And this is the direction I think a lot of Democrats are going. So 314-912-1019, a little bit later on. Let's get everybody's talks because I think there's a lot of people really concerned about places we don't live in, but that's not unreasonable.
No,
because the question is it just their decisions or does this affect the rest of us or does this show momentum that could? And I'm open to arguments on both sides.
Yeah. Well, I think it's worth discussing. We need to take a close look at what happened here.
Oh yeah, precisely. All right. Virginia. So Democrats swept there. I think that the Republicans, I think the conservatives were really hoping that they could pluck the attorney general race out of this.
Yeah. After what Jay Jones did.
Yeah. But they elected the guy who fantasizes about like murdering women, children, and
and who got in trouble for driving 116 miles an hour in 55 miles an hour zone and then didn't do his community service other than serving his own campaign. So
yeah.
That guy.
Yeah,
that's
that
going to
guy.
be the attorney general.
And that was a 53 to 47% split. I mean, that wasn't close on that. So in the governor's race, Abigail Spanberger is now the first female governor-elect of the state of Virginia. She had more of a typical acceptance speech.
I want you to know that my goal and my intent is to serve all Virginians.
And also of note, as we talked about, Jay Jones won that attorney general race. State Senator Ghazala Hashmi looks like also won the lieutenant governor's race, making her the first Muslim woman elected as lieutenant governor. And that was in Virginia.
Yeah. She ran the basement campaign.
Yeah. Didn't show up at all.
Didn't go to the debate. Didn't do anything.
I looked at her website. She's nuts. I mean, you talk about I mean, it's like Ilhan Omar's going to go calm down there.
Right.
Easy.
Slow your roll there, sister.
Yeah. But that's how out there extreme she is. All right. Another Republican jumped into the race for Illinois governor this week. So video gambling mogul Rick Heidner filed the paperwork to run, and he's already committed $1 million to his campaign.
Okay.
So apparently a lot of people are buying his video gaming stuff. Or whatever. It's
doing well.
Yeah. He's one of 7 Republicans in the race, including former state senator Darren Bailey, former Wire Points writer Ted Dabrowski, and DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick. Now, they've all filed the paperwork, so I guess they've got to make sure their petitions are in place. The deadline to file that actually was Monday. So we'll see who ends up on it. Those 4 guys are definitely going to be there.
Sure.
Okay, this is a big. This may be one of the biggest Supreme Court cases in quite a while. And we've had some big ones here. Let's see here. President Trump's tariffs, a case involving that, are set to go before the Supreme Court. Here's the story.
The importance of this case cannot be overstated.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president must have emergency economic powers to impose tariffs and that the White House is optimistic.
We are 100% confident in the president and his team's legal arguments in the merits of the law in this case.
Justices will be deciding whether Donald Trump overstepped federal law to set sweeping import taxes. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so one quick thing. I want everybody to understand what this case is actually about. It is not about whether tariffs are good or bad or whether they should be 5% or 2,000%.
Correct.
That is not what it's about. It's about whether or not the president is allowed to make those decisions unilaterally.
Correct. Yes, that is exactly what it's, whether he has that power under the IEPPA or
Right.
IEEPA, I can't remember what the acronym is for right now. And then, if that statute is unconstitutionally delegating legislative authority to
Right,
him. So
right.
it's looking at the law itself and looking at whether he has the power under that law. It's very important. Arguments start today at 9 a.m.
Yeah, this is going to be, because it's not even just about these tariffs.
No.
It's about, like you said, whether or not one constitutional branch of government can hand over its authority to another.
Correct.
Now, if you think they should be able to, okay, that's what they're going to argue about. But that's going to be, I've heard it described as, by some, for instance, some of the more constitutionalist sort of academics out there. I've heard some of them argue that this case is about whether or not the Constitution is a limiting document on government, or whether it is a permissive document on government.
Well, that's really philosophical.
Yeah.
And I think that that argument may come up at some point today, but the crux of it is basically, we've been talking about this entire presidency, like, which lane is this, branch of the government, or are they staying in their lane? This is a critical part of that. And it's the judiciary deciding whether the legislature and the executive are properly divvying up the responsibility between them.
Yeah. So don't think if the Supreme Court rules against the president, they're not ruling necessarily against the tariffs. They're not taking a position on the tariffs.
No.
They're taking the position on who gets to make the decision on that. Okay. The Blues are on the road to play the Capitals tonight. Game starts at 6:30. Blues are on a 1-game winning streak,
Let's
baby.
go Blues!
Woo! I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have the soul sewn up, it is no more.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What was once considered radical is now mainstream.
On News Talk STL.
I've had enough of this.
Storm damage got you stressed out? Don't worry. Call Mario and his team at Top Quality Exteriors. We're your local St. Louis neighbors. Mario and his team specialize in roofing, siding, and gutters. Whether you need a few shingles replaced or a complete exterior makeover, we bring quality work with real results at an affordable price. Plus, we'll work with your insurance company to get your claim approved and help you get your repairs done quickly. Call for a free estimate today, 314-618-8888. BBB accredited and ready to roll. 314-618-8888.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got defunded, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time, big time. You know why they don't sell hire a sales team? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad. Oh my God. You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
When water troubles strike, call the family you can trust. Tim Jones here for Ambassador Plumbing, serving our community since 2018 with 25 years of master plumbing expertise from Tim Morris and his handpicked team. Whether it's a simple faucet repair or a complete bathroom remodel, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. From residential service calls to commercial to new construction, the folks at Ambassador are your neighbors treating you like family. Ambassador Plumbing, where faith meets craftsmanship. 636-383-6932 or ambassadorplumbing.com. That's ambassadorplumbing.com. Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, around here, we have some mixed feelings about tax increases, apparently. here in the St. Louis area. And of course, 6:35, we're going to do our first kind of big deep dive into the nationally watched races around the country as well. Let's be honest, the left had a big night. What does it mean? All right, you can keep up with all of the political craziness with your go-to conservative blog. Susie, what is hot on Red State?
I'll tell you what's hot, Mike.
Is the Red State Rundown.
I'll tell you what's hot, Mike. One of the articles that's hot right now and is up on Red State this morning is by our next guest, Chris Arps. It's titled, Registering New Citizens Should Be Bipartisan, in which Chris recounts his recent experience attending a naturalization ceremony and how great that was. But he noticed as he left that there was a table set out outside with the League of Women Voters, and they were registering voters. And he was pointing out that should be a bipartisan thing. It shouldn't just be a partisan group, which the League of Women Voters is.
Totally.
So making the point, these are brand new citizens. They are able to register to vote. Why aren't we doing this in a bipartisan fashion? Because we want citizens to vote. Very interesting articles. People should check that out.
Very cool. RedState.com.
Yeah.
That's where you find it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So here's what happened in the local elections here. So where a bunch of governments tried to sneak increases through on tiny turnout elections. So here's where we're at. The majority of the tax increases were rejected.
That's something.
Yeah. I mean, I think it shows a couple of things. One, that there are people who are saying, absolutely not. This is not the time to raise taxes. Secondly, when you decide that you want to try to win something with very few votes, you give the other side the ability to beat you with very few votes.
It's true.
And I think that, we obviously were getting the word out here. I know, I suspect, a lot of the conservative, social media folks around here were doing the same thing. So, we pointed out, okay, they want to sneak this through because they want to win something with next to nobody showing up to vote, beat them at their own game.
To that point.
Yes.
I do need to share this with you. There's a town in, I think in North Carolina, where they were voting on whether or not to legalize the sale of mixed drinks.
Oh, that's still illegal anywhere?
Yeah. The final vote was 31-31. It's tied. Sorry to interject that, but when you were talking about the low vote count, I was like, I just saw that happen.
Wow.
Mixed votes for mixed drinks, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, which means the measure fails.
Yeah.
Whatever the measure was, it fails if it doesn't get the majority.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a town I do not want to go party in.
No. Well, it's in North Carolina, so you're safe.
Just saying. Okay, so let's kind of go down the list here. Bellefontaine neighbors, they approved the marijuana tax.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what the population is necessarily. I know it's not a huge city, but 296 to 207. That was the vote spread.
Okay.
So we're talking, 89 votes or whatever it was.
Okay.
That made the difference there. So 296 people decided to raise taxes in the city.
Population of about 10,000.
10,296 voted to raise taxes. Now, you know what? It's a specialty tax. It's the marijuana tax.
Yeah.
For most people, it's like, well, if you don't smoke up, you're not going to notice the difference or use gummies or whatever.
Right.
Okay. So, all right. Let's see here. Veneta Park, general sales tax. That was just the sales tax they wanted because government wanted to tax more stuff or tax stuff at a higher rate. No. 33 votes to 56 votes.
Well, the population was 277 in 2010. I don't know what the latest number is.
So
actually, they have a very small population. That's actually good turnout.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually percentage-wise, that's actually a pretty high turnout for this election. Creve Coeur, folks, Creve Courites or Creve Courians. What are you in Creve Coeur?
I think Ian's.
Creve Courians. They pretty overwhelmingly decided to raise taxes on themselves.
I am so disappointed in you, Creve Coeur. I went around and talked to as many people that would listen to me chitter-chatter, and I said, look, vote no, this is going to raise your taxes for things that you buy online. This is going to be an increase in our already, and 62% of people apparently was not listening to me.
That's right. But here's the thing, Creve Coeur, it's a decent size, as numerically decent size suburb here.
18,800.
1,213 people raised taxes on all the other 18,000.
Figure out who they are and give them the stink eye.
That's right. That's right. Ladue had the exact same question, and they said no, but this was incredibly close. Now, if you ever have somebody goes, my vote doesn't matter. Okay, 430 to 461.
Yeah.
Difference of 31 people stopped a tax increase in Ladue.
Right, which is right next door to Creve Coeur,
Right,
by the way.
exactly. So 461 people protected however many people are in Ladue.
Find them and give them flowers.
Yes, exactly. So 461 people is all it took to block that tax increase. Festus. Ooh, boy. Okay. So Festus also had the sales tax increase as well, the use tax thing. They didn't just say no. They said hell no to that in Festus. That was a 325 to 751 defeat. So 70% of Festus voters went no. Now, again, Festus, a lot more people than that. 751 people protected the rest from a tax increase on that.
Bless them.
Yeah.
Bless them.
Okay, I want to get to the Rockwood School District one last year. Melville School District pretty overwhelmingly approved that property tax. Basically, it was a 2-to-1 margin.
Right. And that's the one that they said was kind of couched as an extension,
Yeah.
but it kind of depended on how you looked at it.
Well, one part was the extension,
Right.
and then there was another part that's an increase, but they said that it might result in us reducing it somewhere. So it was a bunch of weasel words. But when you've got a 2-to-1 vote that says yes, they clearly sold this to their population. Okay. And that was, I mean, there were 9,100 people showed up to vote in that. So that was actually a pretty high turnout percentage wise. I mean, that's nowhere near the number of voters in Melville, but that was a big turnout. And Clayton, congratulations, Clayton. You are now more gender neutral in your government.
That's good.
And 3/4 of the voters who showed up, which were not very many, 781 people decided that things needed to be more gender neutral.
Okay.
So to all of you, they, them who voted, you are now, whatever.
Good use of your time and efforts.
And money. Yeah.
And so for that specific one for Clayton, that changing the language to be more neutral has literally, it didn't have any effect on people's ability to actually do law stuff, right?
No.
Doesn't change
anything.
So they spent all that time and money and whatever else went into getting that organized just to change a few words.
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, there were some other administrative stuff as far as like, how to fill, openings in certain jobs.
Yeah.
So there were actually some things
They
on
were
there.
basically cleaning up the language
Right.
of the charter and in the process welcoming it too.
Oh,
but why they needed to do that in this election as opposed to tucking it into another, I don't know.
Yeah, because that cost
Maybe
them
there was a reason.
that cost them a lot of money to do that election when you probably could have gotten this passed in April when the regular elections were
unless
happening.
there's some prohibition against doing it with other stuff. I don't know.
Very weird. But yeah, and it's funny because like when you looked at the media, when you're clicking on the results, they would always say, use tax, property tax. But this one, they said gender neutral charter. I mean, that's what they were talking about.
Wow.
So basically Clayton is not going to have a board of aldermen anymore because that's clearly misogynistic and patronizing and anti-woman. Now they have a city council.
Okay.
Or they will once they.
Okay. Go Clayton.
Yeah, you do you guys. Oh no, guys. You do you. Humans.
People.
Yeah, people. Okay. Humans, but I meant that with a Y, not M-A-N.
Humans.
Yeah, I'm getting myself in trouble. I'm Clayton.
You're isolating the other kin, the people
I
who
know,
don't identify as
exactly.
humans.
Gosh, dang it. Okay. Let's talk about Rockwood.
Let's talk about
Let's
it.
do this. Narrow defeat of this tax increase proposal. This was a big turnout. 10,910 said yes. 11,413 said no. So 49% to 51% is what you had here. This shows you that it was crucial we get the word out about this. And here's the other big part of this is that everybody associated with that school district and everybody who worked on that campaign, they used absolutely shameful tactics. They were dishonest. They did everything they could to sneak this through. And I think while part of this is people are looking at that tax increase going, absolutely, that's a big tax increase. But the other part is, I think there were probably voters in Rockwood who have had it with the dishonest tactics. I mean, it was gross what they were doing. Niall Stevens and some others have pointed out, they were marketing specifically to senior citizens saying, hey, your property taxes have been frozen, so you can tax other people and not worry, but that doesn't affect
it to
you.
them. Doesn't affect you.
Go screw your neighbors
Wow.
over. And it was just gross. And so I am so happy about this more so than any other, because Rockwood School District spent $100,000 of taxpayers' money, and they took the L, and I am so glad they took the L on this.
I am too.
Yeah. Now, do you think any of them are going to learn their lesson?
No.
I think
No.
you're right.
So what conclusions are we going to draw from the election results in Virginia and New York City and California? Chris Arps is going to give us his take on that at 6:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I have to tell my kids that I'm a rock star now.
on NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures a little bit warmer to start this morning into the mid-50s. This afternoon, a high of 69 degrees, looking mostly sunny. Winds gustier out of the southwest up to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, tracking temperatures back towards the mid-60s. Partly cloudy Friday, some AM rain chances, looking at highs into the lower 70s. Saturday, going to be seeing a cold front moving through, highs to the mid-60s, looking at a major cool down Sunday into the mid-40s. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, News Talk STL listeners, this is Levi with Reach Reproductive Health. So first, I want to say thank you for standing in the gap for life, because truly it's because of people like you that many babies who otherwise would have been aborted are living today. I'm grateful to be fighting this cause with you. I'd like to invite you out to Reach's inaugural annual gala. It's our stakeholders launch. We're having it November the 6th at 6 p.m. at the Commons in Chesterfield. Space really is limited, so I want you to RSVP right now. Go grab your spot at outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
We refer to it by its more accurate description, the Hate America rally.
George Soros and his network is behind funding these rallies.
101.9 and 94.1.
We don't want kings in America.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, there's no way around it. Republicans got their backsides handed to them in the big races everybody was watching around the country last night. And it wasn't even close.
No.
For the most part, it wasn't even close. Real quick, I want to address something as somebody mentioned on the Rumble chat box, and it was kind of all over social media because Elon Musk tweeted about it.
Yes.
Okay, so Elon Musk retweeted somebody or whatever you call it now, and he said, "Ma'am Dummy is on the ballot twice." Okay, in New York, that's very normal. That's been that way for decades. They have like 7 or 8 parties that have ballot access there. Each party, you can be nominated by more than one party. So you could, in theory, for instance, vote for, let's just say, vote for Donald Trump on the Republican Party ticket, but then also vote for him on the conservative ticket, right? So he would be on there. Ma'am Dami was on a couple times. Sliwa was on a couple times. And so that's actually just one of the weird things that New York does, but that was nothing unusual.
That was nothing new. And I will point out, when you actually look at the ballot, it says quite clearly at the top, the name of the party and then the name of the candidate. So it was just a question of which party, which party you were voting as for which. I mean, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
It was nothing nefarious.
Yeah. So somebody, and I think they have a socialist party in New York too.
They do. They have the FDA. They have all kinds of stuff. Now, you can argue that that is somewhat confusing and they should do a better job with their ballots. But no, this was not some sort of sinister plot.
No. That's just the way they do it up there. All right. Joined by Chris Arps, whom you can read an article from at RedState.com. I just found out.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, Chris, let's go through it down the list here, because there's the what happened and why, and then there's the what does it mean, if anything. So let's start with New York City right there. They have an openly socialist, I would argue communist mayor-elect there. How does a young frickin' communist get elected even in a blue city? Does this show that this is the new face of the Democratic Party, or do we just have an uprising of the moment or something else?
Look, I think regardless of what you think of Zamdani's politics, you got to give him credit for being, one, very articulate. He's a good candidate. He's a handsome man. And he talked about the issues that New Yorkers were concerned about, and that was quote unquote affordability. And you saw Democrats in New Jersey and in Virginia use that same argument, affordability. You know, prices are high, not as high as they were under Joe Biden. Inflation is coming down, but it's still there. And I think a lot of voters were concerned about that, and they played on that beautifully yesterday.
Chris, Chuck Schumer was notoriously reluctant to really say anything one way or the other about Mamdani in this race. He's having obviously struggles in the Senate from a leadership standpoint. What do you see the old guard Democrats like Schumer doing in relation to Mamdani's election?
I think Schumer, who's one of these politicians who sticks his finger in the wind and decides which direction the crowd is going to embrace Mamdani a little bit. As we know, Chuck Schumer is Jewish, and Mamdani, has said some kind of anti-Semitic things. But I think he's going to get on the train. The progressives did very well in New York, and he wants to continue to be the senator from New York. He has AOC in his rearview mirror, and I think he is going to embrace Zamdani. Not necessarily all of his policies, but I think that's a trend that we're going to see with him and other Democrats around the country now.
Okay, so Chris, when we go from area to area, then I'm gonna kind of ask the same question. Okay, does this have a ripple effect outside of it? So when you look at Mamdani winning the mayor race in New York City, does that mean anything, or will that have an influence on anything outside of New York, or does that say anything about the Democratic Party or the left right now?
I think it will energize the progressives within the Democratic Party. They will say that this is the new way, that the new path that we need to follow in order to win. I still think there is a civil war among the Democrats where they're trying to decide which way do they want to go. Do they want to go far left, or do they want to come back to the center? And the one solace that I take out of these elections yesterday, because Republicans didn't do very well, but we have to remember these are blue states, and second, the Republican candidates that we had weren't very good. I mean, Ciccarelli in New Jersey, this was his third time running for the office. I think a lot of people, that may turn some people off. Winsome Sears, she has a great story, but not a very good candidate, and she didn't embrace Donald Trump that well. That's why he didn't come in and campaign for her. So it's a bad trend for the nation if we become more progressive. But I think we don't know yet which way the country is going to go in terms of progressive or center left.
Chris, you mentioned Winsome Sears' kind of tepid relationship with Donald Trump. I mean, they kind of made up and were more friendly towards each other towards the end of the race. How much of an effect is him? Well, he wasn't on the ballot this election, but he was for the Democrats. So it seems like the energy kind of flips depending on, which way you're going. But how much of an impact is Trump going to have, let's say, on the 2026 races?
Well, we're a year out from now, and if these races yesterday were any indication, it's going to not spell well for the Democrats. Like I said, they focused on affordability. If you look at Northern Virginia, those are the suburbs for the Washington, D.C. class that work in D.C. Trump even tweeted out or posted on his True Social that the shutdown hurt the Republicans. And I think that is the case, especially in Virginia. Plus, as I said, Winsome Sears, great lady. I met her. She was the keynote speaker at the St. Louis County Lincoln Days a few years ago. Impressive story, just not a very good candidate.
Okay, so let me follow up on what you just said regarding 2026. Does this set a momentum for 2026? I mean, the Democrats will argue that it does, but if the Democrats had lost, they would say it does. They would say it means nothing on it. So depending on your partisanship, I guess you could decide whether or not this is momentum. But you've got East Coast and West Coast both going hard left, not just blue, but hard left. So is this a momentum builder for the Democrats?
I think it is, because polls have come out lately showing that the enthusiasm is more on the Democratic side right now than with our side. And that's something that you would not think, especially with Donald Trump being president and knowing what the stakes are next year for the midterm elections. You think Republicans would be more enthusiastic, but they have the enthusiasm right now, and these wins in these 3 states, focusing on the issue of affordability and Donald Trump, I think puts the wind in their sails.
I think one of the things you mentioned, the energy, and we've got enthusiasm. And I think something tied into that has to do with age.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the split, particularly in New York City, the 45 over versus the 45 under vote was a stark contrast. How much of a factor is, there's a lot of longtime political leaders that are quite long in the tooth now. How much of a factor is age and or youth playing in this?
Big time. I mean, if you look at the early voting in New York City, most of the early voting occurred in boroughs that had younger people, and they came out in force for Mondami. We see the youth movement in the Democratic Party, where a lot of long-term Democratic congressmen have said that they are not running for re-election, or they are going to be primary. So, as I said, there is a civil war within the Democratic Party. They can be victorious today because of what happened, but I still think they have some headwinds in front of them, and they have problems trying to decide which way is their party going to go. We're a year out from the election. We'll see how Mondami's policies of free buses and free Wi-Fi and free grocery stores, how that's going to pan out. And hopefully the economy will be doing much better, so that when 2026 midterms roll around, that's something that Republicans can run on.
We're visiting with Chris Arps. I'm sure you know that from 4 to 6 every afternoon here with Tim Jones. And I'm sure you guys are going to be all over this, because we're going to get, even more information throughout the day. I think, Chris, and you may disagree with me on this, but I think the most important election as far as affecting anybody else was Prop 50 in California. What does that do to the equation going into 2026?
Well, I think what it does is it negates really the gains that Republicans would have made in Texas. I think we picked up 4 or 5. We will probably pick up 4 or 5 seats in Texas with their redistricting. But with California Prop 50 passing, they'll probably redistrict 4 or 5 more Republicans out, and that will probably negate the gains there. But if you look at other Republican states, and with the Section 2 decision coming from the Supreme Court, Republicans still should have an advantage going into the election in terms of seats that are more favorable to them. There was a silver lining yesterday in the bloodbath for Republicans, and that was in Texas. The organization that I lead, Americans for Citizen Voting, we tried to amend state constitutions to say that only citizens can vote in the elections. Amendment Prop 16 in Texas was a citizen-only voting amendment, and it passed 72 to 28.
Congrats.
So there is
Nice.
some bright thing for Republicans and conservatives that happened yesterday.
Chris, Prop 50, I mean, it was kind of, it is a California measure, but as you noted, as Mike has noted, it's going to impact us nationwide. I think it's also going to impact us in terms of the 2028 presidential election, because it's a political feather in Gavin Newsom's cap, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, this was a risky move for him because if it would have failed or didn't get any momentum, that would have damaged his 2028 prospects. But with him pulling this off in a relatively short period of time, getting this on the ballot and it winning, it's definitely going to put him ahead of Pritzker, who I think is going to be one of his main rivals for 2028, puts him ahead right now.
Okay, so speaking of Pritzker, there's been talk of Illinois now trying to rush through a redistricting as well and basically just leave Southern Illinois red, but try to get rid of any of the Republicans who even touch Central Illinois, basically district out 2-3 Republicans. They don't have that many to start with, but Pritzker now, is he under pressure to redistrict as well?
Oh, I think definitely. Like I said, I think Pritzker and Newsom are the two. Newsom, I said what President Trump said. Newsom, excuse me. I think they are the front runners, mainly because they're from two large states, and both of them are very, very wealthy, and that's very important in politics. As you guys know, money is the mother's milk of politics, and both of those guys have plenty of it.
What did you call Newsom the other day, Susie? Just
Governor Hair Gel?
Governor Hair Gel.
Governor Gecko from
Gordon
Wall
Gecko,
Street
right?
movie.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Chris. I mean, obviously, you're gonna be covering the election results because we're gonna have more fallout. What else are we looking forward to this afternoon on Tim Jones and Chris Arps show?
As Susie knows, and I'm sure she is watching this as well, big court case today at the Supreme Court. Will Donald Trump's tariffs, will they be allowed? We're going to have Zach Smith. He's our senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. We'll have him on to talk about that. To show you how big this case is, Jason Smith, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, he will be attending the arguments along with Treasury Secretary Bessent, however you say it. So I think that shows you how high the stakes are on this.
All right, Chris, we'll be looking forward to it. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Sorry, I was doing producer stuff.
That's right.
So another responsibility of my producer stuff is to produce Flashback Friday.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I would like for you guys to submit to me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, your request for either the songs that get your head bobbing or your toe tapping, just something you could dance or headbang to. Any genre's fine, just it needs to be groovy.
Let's hear them.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
Democrats produce mobs. Republicans produce jobs.
on News Talk STL. News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
St. Louis, it's here. The bigger than Black Friday at Renewal by Anderson. For a limited time, get the biggest dollars off savings of 2025. $330 off every window. $830 off every patio or entry door. Plus, you may have no payments and zero interest. Renewal by Anderson. Unprecedented winner of the prestigious J.D. Power Award for customers 6 years in a row. Renewal by Anderson. Full service window and door replacement division of Anderson. A name you trusted for more than 122 years. $330 off every window, $830 off every patio or entry door. Schedule your consultation today at rbastl.com or call 877-WINDOWS. 877-WINDOWS. Renewal by Anderson. Award-winning quality, bigger savings, smarter investment.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Yeah!
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
All right. We're going to have a lot of conversations today about what happened in those elections. I think that we knew it was not going to go the conservative way yesterday. I don't think anybody really had any illusions, but we thought maybe there'd be one or two races that we could preserve.
Yeah, I thought New Jersey might go our way. The vibe was that it could, and because New Jersey is notorious for flipping back and forth with its governors.
Yeah,
and then also that attorney general race in Virginia, I really thought should stay with the incumbent who wasn't, didn't have murderous fantasies and didn't drive like a maniac. So,
right. Well, I mean, there's that. Precisely. All right. So the bottom line is that our opponents had a big night. They won.
They did.
I mean, they won, and they won big across the board. So we'll be giving you updates on that. Supreme Court. I cannot stress how big this case is.
Big.
Huge.
Big.
Supreme Court is hearing arguments on whether the president can actually use unilateral decisions to impose tariffs. So we'll get into that here in just a moment. Blues trying to build some momentum as well. Has nothing to do with elections, but they're trying to build momentum as well. All right, 6:50 right now. Let's do a news dump.
The morning news dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks.
The morning news dump.
All right, here in the St. Louis area, voters reject a majority of the tax increase proposals in the St. Louis area on Tuesday. I'm taking that as a win.
That's a win.
I got to tell you, and you've got to credit the folks over at Mo Tax Relief Now.
Yes.
They led the fight just by simply jumping up and down and saying, guys, this is what this actually means. And also pointing out the malfeasance of the Rockwood School District in particular. So give credit where credit's due. They led a big, they really, I think, led the discussion on this. Creve Coeur and Bellefontaine neighbors approved sales tax increases. Ladue, Festus, and Veneta Park rejected sales tax proposals. So you know what? 2 of them slipped through, but we won 3.
Good on y'all.
That's right. We defeated 3 of them. Voters in the Melville School District said yes to a property tax increase, and that wasn't even really close. That seemed to be pretty popular overall.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the biggest tax increase issue on the ballot was Rockwood School District.
Yes.
1, for the size of it. 2, for the fact that they're trying to push it through on this lower turnout election. And 3, their tactics were just gross.
Yep.
They really were. And voters rejected it.
Good job, voters.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Also, Clayton's city charter will be more gender neutral after voters there approved an amendment that was on the ballot.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, like the history of Clayton. I looked it up to see, what's it named for. Ralph Clayton is the name of the guy. And I don't know anything about his background, but I'm wondering if we should maybe be looking into it because there could be some troubling aspects to it, and so we might need to be rethinking about the name of the city.
Did you just assume Ralph's gender?
I did. It's stated.
Oh, okay.
I think he identified as male.
As long as it's his choice.
Yes.
That's the important thing.
Back in the 1870s, apparently that was his choice.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
There you have it.
But I think we should maybe dig into his past.
We need to. It might be problematic. It's never too late to cancel somebody.
No. Right. And so we might need to rethink the name of the town.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I don't want to besmirch his character unnecessarily.
No.
But we might need to look at it. Could be problematic.
All right. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy speaking to reporters about the shutdown yesterday. The Democratic senators, most of them, voted again to keep the government shut down.
Same ones.
Yep. 14 times now. And Secretary Duffy warning there could be some big problems sooner rather than later if the federal government stays shut down.
If you bring us to a week from today, Democrats, you will see mass chaos. You will see mass flight delays. you'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers.
Okay. Whether or not it's going to be that bad or not, who knows? It's interesting because Eric Schmidt was on one of the Fox shows yesterday, and he says, okay, well, the Democrats got their big wins in these races. Maybe now they'll give in on the shutdown thing. And he thinks maybe even this week. I don't know. They got to be feeling kind of emboldened right now.
I think it's going to give this week.
You think it'll give this week?
I do.
Yeah, because we got our wins. Let's move on now.
No,
okay.
I do think it's going to give this week.
You're saying that like you've got some information that you've got some
intuition.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are Congressman Onder said he thought that could happen. We've got Schmidt saying that. Ted Cruz is saying that. I just that's my sense.
Yeah.
I don't have any specific insider information.
Or
maybe I do.
Maybe. Yeah. If and when that happens, the Republicans should totally spike the football.
So I want to promote another article on RedState.
Yes.
By Strife, Bill Cruz.
Yeah.
It's about how the Democrats are now going to feel the bite of the filibuster once we're past the shutdown, because live by it, die by it.
That's
and
right.
now they're going to use 60 vote threshold to get their Obamacare subsidies through. So
interesting.
Good luck getting 60 votes for that.
Yeah,
Democrats.
good luck with that. All right. Californians approved Proposition 50, which will hand upwards of 5 more Democratic votes in the U.S. House. So it's taking away 5 Republican seats and replacing them with 5 Democratic seats by redrawing the district lines. Governor Newsom, this was his baby, and it passed pretty big. It was like 64% passing it. He was doing his celebration and saying, you know what? This is all about Orange Man Bad.
People waiting up 3 hours to cast their vote, to send a message to Donald Trump. No crowns, no thrones, no kings.
Okay, so this was a big change when it comes to the calculations. Illinois is possibly going to redistrict as well. We'll see what happens. There's only so many more Democratic seats they can squeeze out of the southern part of the state. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of Illinois, another Republican joins the race for governor. Video gambling mogul Rick Heidner, whom I've never heard of, filed the paperwork to run, and he's already committed $1 million to his campaign. So he's one of 7 Republicans in the race, including former state senator Darren Bailey, former Wire Points writer Ted Dabrowski, and DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick. All right, this may be the most impactful story happening today. President Trump's tariffs case is set to go before the U.S. Supreme Court.
The importance of this case cannot be overstated.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president must have emergency economic powers to impose tariffs, and that the White House is optimistic.
We are 100% confident in the president and his team's legal arguments in the merits of the law in this case.
Justices will be deciding whether Donald Trump overstepped federal law to set sweeping import taxes. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, and I can't emphasize it enough, and I know I'm going to say the same thing that I said about 45 minutes ago, Susie, but everybody needs to understand what this case is about. It is not ruling on whether the tariffs are a good or bad idea or too high or too. It has actually nothing to do with the tariffs. It has to do with whether or not Congress is allowed to abrogate its responsibility and hand it to the president.
Correct.
It's constitutional duty. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like the tariffs, that's not what the Supreme Court's ruling about. If they go against the president, it's not because they don't like tariffs. It's because they think he's acting outside of his
That's not within his authority.
Right. So that's what the case is actually about. All right. Blues are on the road tonight. They play the Capitals in Washington. Blues trying to build on a little bit of momentum, finally breaking that winless streak earlier this week. So can we get 2 in a row?
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Fraud and scams can strike anyone. My office works to ensure that Missouri is free from deception and unfair practices. Last year, we handled over 65,000 consumer complaints and returned more than $400 million to Missourians. If you've been a victim of fraud, call 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Democrats dominated yesterday's midterm elections, victories in New York City, New Jersey, and Virginia. In New York, Democrat Socialist Zoran Mamdani referring to his defeat of independent Andrew Cuomo in the mayor's race.
My friends, we have a political dynasty.
While Cuomo says no regrets.
This campaign was the right fight to wage. And I am proud of what we did and what we did together.
In blue state New Jersey, voters have chosen Democrat Mikey Sherrill for governor. Virginia voters sending Democrat Abigail Spanberger to the governor's mansion and Democrat Jay Jones to the attorney general's office. California's Democrat congressional redistricting scheme has been approved, while 3 Democrats will hold on to their seats on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. President Trump is suggesting the government shutdown helped to generate that powerful blue wave. Flyers, beware. The Trump administration warns of possible chaos in the skies next week if the government shutdown drags on.
Air travel has been disrupted with each passing day of the shutdown, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the situation will only get worse as the financial pressure grows on air traffic controllers and TSA employees who are forced to work without pay. Duffy warns there could be mass chaos if the stalemate lasts another week, predicting more flight delays and cancellations and the possibility of closing certain parts of the airspace. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The feds will be investigating the deadly crash of a UPS cargo plane in Kentucky. 7 people died when the aircraft crashed and burned upon takeoff at the Louisville airport. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures up 4 points, NASDAQ futures down 59. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated with rare coin collecting. But owning the wrong coins that only make dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio. AmFed Coin and Bullion specializes in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and not what they want to sell you. You'll never experience scare tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales from owner Nick Grovich and his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your portfolio, show you how your coins have performed, and take the time to educate you on the ugly industry practices so that you can make an informed decision. Smart people can make very bad investments when they're under pressure and lack the facts. Call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. American Federal.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures a little bit warmer to start this morning into the mid-50s. This afternoon, a high of 69 degrees, looking mostly sunny. Winds gustier out of the southwest up to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, tracking temperatures back towards the mid-60s, partly cloudy. Friday, some AM rain chances, looking at highs into the lower 70s. Saturday, going to be seeing a cold front moving through, highs to the mid-60s, looking at a major cool down Sunday into the mid-40s. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Hi, I'm Mark Sutherland, founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, and I'd like to give you a bottle of Stolock whiskey or Inversion vodka. Enter now at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come experience our tasting room in historic Defiance. Enjoy Stolock whiskey, Inversion vodka, and other Missouri-made spirits, wine, and craft beer in our beautiful cocktail lounge, cigar room, or out on the patio with live music every weekend. Don't forget, win a bottle of Stolock or Inversion at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come raise a glass in Defiance.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little surprised at how many tax increases were rejected around the area yesterday.
Pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised. I was actually really surprised by that. Some passed. A majority of them actually failed. Okay, so here's what's happening here. 720. The reality is that the hard fringe left, not just Democrats, the hard left won around the country, many areas. So 720. Let me know what you think. 314-912-1019. We got a lot of people weighing in on that on social media. Keep those coming because that's the time to vent or assess or, sort of analyze. And we're going to just understand we're just a few minutes away from that. Real quick. Somebody asked a question the other day. Now, you weren't here yesterday because you were supposed to be in court.
Let's be clear about this.
Okay. She skated on it. It was reasonable doubt. They didn't convict her.
I was not the subject of the case. I am a witness in it, and I can't really give details right now because it's still going on because they ended up continuing it at the last minute.
So you were supposed to go be a witness.
I was supposed to go be a witness.
They're like, we're good. Never mind. Maybe later.
Yeah, and I know how lawyers do. I know it,
but
whatever.
Somebody asked on your laptop, they're watching on whichever stream they're watching on, and you've got a sticker on there that says "Never Again."
Yes.
Okay, you promised that you would tell us what that means.
I did.
Yes. What's it mean?
October 7th, 2023 was a horrific day. And folks may remember that the following week, there was an event planned in Clayton. We've been talking about Clayton. They're kind of near the courthouse area and the administrative building. And it was kind of a rally to support the Jewish community in St. Louis. Yeah. And I went, Ken Williams went. There were other people there that we know here from the station. And we were there and we didn't officially plan it together, but we were both there. And one of the portions of that event in honor of the victims was basically to stand silently for a period of time, kind of in honor of them. And they gave us these, duct tape, basically, that you could write on a message that you would put across your mouth to symbolize that you were, observing your silence. And the only thing I could think of was never again.
There it is.
So that was to honor the victims of October 7th and to, acknowledge the fact that even though we swear never again, apparently that's now.
Right. Yep, exactly. Okay. So when you see that on camera, that's what you're looking at.
That's what you're looking at.
Okay. I did not know that. I appreciate that story. All right. Will local government types looking at you, Rockwood School District, learn any lessons?
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I had to give a spoiler, the answer is no.
No.
They're just going to look at how can they more effectively try to abuse the process.
Yeah, well, if they were going to say it was close, so if we'd just done something a little different, we could have won.
Well, and that's actually probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would do.
The worst thing here it is though. The worst thing happened to the tax increase proposals. The worst thing that could happen to the Rockwood School District folks who were behind this, and they should be ashamed of themselves. But the worst thing that happened is people found out what they were doing.
Yes.
Because we talked about over and over and over again, this is the practical application. When you bury something like a tax increase, is it legal? Yes. Under Missouri law, it's legal. When you bury it at the time, intentionally hoping as few people show up to vote as possible. And then you take the tactics of, hey, old people, you got a property tax free, so don't worry about it. Go ahead and vote yes and stick it to your neighbors.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the supporters of this set up like a Facebook community, but they silenced all responses. So what happened is the Mo Tax Relief Now folks caught wind of this. To a lesser degree. Freedom Principle caught wind of it. We caught wind of it, and we exposed it. So they found it. We gave it more attention, but you got to give credit particular to the Mo Tax Relief Now folks. With Dennis and Niles and their team out there.
Yeah.
They really dug into this and said, this is a big tax increase. This election is being paid for by the school district out of taxpayer funds to try to raise taxes on it. And they're using absolutely abhorrent messaging. So if you're part of the district, and I'm talking about, the administration, the teachers, the boosters, everybody who are pushing for this, you should be personally ashamed of yourself for not just what you tried to do, but the way you tried to do it. And voters said no. Narrowly, but voters said no.
Good on the voters.
Yep.
But yeah, I do think that the lesson will not be learned because of it being as close as it was.
I think you're right, because what you're looking at is basically a 49 to 51 split.
Right.
But they did have a good big turnout. So
they did. That was like 21,000 people or so, right?
It was. Yeah. Basically almost 22,000 people.
Oh, pretty good turnout.
Which tells me that this fired up people in a way, because it's difficult enough to beat a tax proposal from a school district because they do the whole,
their schools
it's for the children. But the Rockwood School District has over the years been exposed as one of the more extreme on the LGBT stuff, more extreme on the BLM stuff, more extreme on the DEI stuff.
Right.
And what's happening right now is their best chance of getting this passed was to keep it as far away from as many voters as possible. Voters found out and they got burned.
Population of the Rockwood School District is 121,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, not all of those are voters because they are not of age to vote.
Right.
So to have 22,000 people come out, that's a good turnout for an off-year election like this.
Yeah, that means that this fired people up.
Good on you guys.
Yes. And so my hope is that they would learn their lessons and do a little self-reflection, but that's not how government entities, and I'm not even just going to pick on like public schools here. I'm going to pick on government entities.
Right.
They don't look at this loss and go, maybe we should reevaluate.
It's not their money.
us. Right. They look at it as, okay, how do we get it? Let's reorganize and re-strategize. How do we go get, that's what they're thinking right now. They're not, I guarantee you, because I've been around these government types for a long time.
Sure.
They're not thinking, gee, voters sent us a message. Should we listen to the people we serve? That's not what's happening. I guarantee it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that one went down. Melville School District's property tax bill. That was pretty popular. It was like 2-1. They passed it. Again, I think it's unfortunate because I don't think we should be raising any taxes anymore. Not even just now anymore. The levels of taxation, when you combine local, state, federal, everything together, we should not be raising any more taxes at all ever again. We should be talking about where can we cut taxes.
Stop spending, stop spending, stop spending.
Precisely. All right. Let's see here. The sales taxes. Bellefontaine neighbors, they had a sales tax on wacky tobacco, and they said yes.
Okay.
Specialized tax.
Go
stick it to the stoners. I guess. And if they're upset about it,
I don't care.
Have a gummy. You're not going to care. Veneta Park, they wanted to increase sales taxes. That went down hard. 63% of people saying, nope, not at all. Now I say 63% of people, that's 56.
Yeah.
56 voters said no.
Well, it could have been a tie like it was in that little town in North Carolina about the selling mixed drinks or whatever. So
31-31 tie in that.
31-31.
That's funny. All right. Creve Coeur decided to raise taxes on themselves for the online purchases. So they passed the so-called use tax. It's a sales tax. Is what it is. 1,200 people voted yes, and that was enough to be 62% of the vote, 63%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would say that's an example of the strategy working.
Right. Yes. Yep. 100%. But it didn't work next door in Ladue.
It did not.
Yeah. Ladue narrowly defeated that sales tax increase. Now, when I say defeated, it took 461 people to be 51.7% of the vote. So it just shows you that the strategy of putting it on in front of as few people as possible can go either way if people know what's going on.
Yep.
Festus, they had the same thing on the ballot, and voters were like, Oh, 70% of Festus voters were like, I don't think so. So
you're all right, Festus.
That's right. See, my guess is that in the city hall in Festus, they're probably going, ooh, message received. Okay.
Okay.
I think I think things are going to be a little more real in Festus compared to some of the other areas. I just got a gut feeling on that.
Maybe. Mm-hmm.
And then Clayton, basically cleaning up and wokeifying their charter, whatever.
I don't have a problem with them doing that. I mean, to me, it's okay. Was it critical, and did it have to be have its own election? That's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, because that was expensive for them to put that on the November ballot.
Yeah.
Because remember, all of these, the catch on this is that you have to pay for the election. You don't just go to the county elections board and go, okay, we're going to do an election and the county pays for it. That's not how that works.
Right.
Each of these entities paid for this election on this. So Clayton, you will soon have a city council as opposed to a board of aldermen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. And then, there was some other like administrative stuff that got changed, which, and some of it was fine.
Right.
Term limits on a few things and how to fill vacancies. I mean, there was stuff in there that made sense. It
doesn't warrant a standalone election.
They just led with we're going to be gender neutral. Like, really, guys?
Yeah. Well, what did we see yesterday when it comes to the future of the Democratic Party? What does it tell you? What do you think? Does it worry you? We're going to have that conversation coming up at 7:20.
Inspiration, you have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination, making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On Newstalk STL.
Right now, before you blow us all away.
Hey, Susie Moore here to talk about one of the greatest places in West St. Louis County for you to get great food and have great fun. It's Harpo's Chesterfield. It's the perfect neighborhood bar. It's got a great sports bar atmosphere, and it's convenient, and it's close. It's a place you've come to know and love. Great place to go check out not only their drinks, because they do serve up great drinks, but they've got great food. I can tell you from personal experience, they have delicious cheeseburgers. May have had a couple of those over the years, or, more than a couple of them. Great food. Great food, great fun, energetic staff, all kinds of daily drink specials and food specials. You want to check those out. You can find out what those specials are by going to their Facebook page or their Instagram page. They've got those lined up there. In fact, last week, for instance, they had a big Halloween party. They've got pictures up of their costumes, people dressed up for that. They had a lot of fun. So if you are looking for the place to go watch some sports, hang out with your friends, have some great drinks, have some great food, go to Harpo's Chesterfield. And if you want to find out more about them, you can check them out at harposstl.com. Or, like I said, you can check out their Facebook page or their Instagram page.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Foreign dark money has been funding leftist campaigns that have completely corrupted Missouri's Constitution. We'll speak with Andy Backer of Protect Mo Voters at 5:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on Newstalk STL.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kate Monroe.
I was in the Marine Corps. I don't think people really understand that the National Guard is essentially your neighbors. I mean, this would be like your house is on fire and all the great men and women on your block that are capable of helping you put out said fire, you call the police on them and then let your house burn down. That is essentially what these cities are doing because Orange Man wants to send people to help us. We're going to go ahead and let it just burn down.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
All right. You can go ahead and you can, slam the Democrats for going full socialist and full radical and full maniacal if you want. And you'd be right. You'd be right. But here's the reality. They won. The no kings types won around the country, and they won big yesterday.
They did.
314-912-1019. Just going to put that out there if you want to get involved in the discussion, or obviously we're watching the social media comments here as well. So here's, I guess, the question. Are they poised to win the U.S. House after next year's election? So there's a lot of mixed thoughts on this. Is obviously the left hopes that this is the case. Is this is the a picture of things to come.
Mm-hmm.
We're here, we're radical, get used to it, kind of thing. Taking over the Democratic Party, basically are the center left, old fashioned, blue collar, agricultural Democrats. Are they just irrelevant and their time has passed? And now it's the Mamdanis, the AOCs, the Ilhan Omars, the, Hakeem Jeffries, the Gavin Newsoms. Are they the new face permanently or for the next generation of the Democratic Party? And if so, is that who's about to take over part of our government after the next elections? Chris, we talked to Chris Arps a little bit earlier, and he's still hopeful Republicans will hold on to the House. I think it's highly possible the Democrats win the House in 2026, if nothing else, because they're checking the Republican gerrymandering, which was trying to check the Democratic gerrymandering.
Mm-hmm.
And California's Prop 50 basically puts the Texas gerrymandering in check.
It does, from a practical standpoint. I mean, we saw statements from Kevin Kiley and Vince Fong and Darrell Issa, who are 3 of the congressional representatives, Republicans from California, saying, "Look, I'm not going anywhere." I mean, people are still going to have a voice and a vote, but it's going to make it harder for them to retain those seats. My thought on it is this: clearly, the Democrats, the left, get energized over opposing Donald Trump.
Right.
That is their strongest message.
Right.
Republicans, I mean, he wasn't really on the ballot, so maybe GOP voters were not as animated this time around. To me, the strongest message from the Republicans for 2026 is not going to be who's Donald Trump endorsing, but look, if you don't get out and support this candidate, they're going to be the ones trying to impeach him, trying to thwart his agenda. And if you like his agenda and you want it to continue, you've got to support it.
Yeah, because traditionally, after that election cycle, the president moves into a lame duck phase.
Yes.
Now, we don't know what a Trump lame duck presidency is going to look like because nothing about the Trump presidency has looked like the traditional presidency.
No.
Obviously. Now, a lot of people are mentioning when you look at the race for Winsome Sears, losing, and a lot of people are pointing out, well, she got into a tiff with the president, so he didn't go campaign for her, and she FA'd and FO'd. Let me give an alternative theory. I'm not saying I'm convinced this is what happens, but let me give an alternative theory. Donald Trump knew she was going to lose either way. And if he pulls out the stops and goes and campaigns with her and she loses anyway, doesn't help his political capital.
That's
so
true.
That's a possibility. I don't know that that's what happened, but that's one of the things that people say she did. Winsome Sears did not lose because Donald Trump stayed silent on it.
No,
Donald Trump.
No.
Donald
There
Trump
were
was not going to
way
make
many other factors in play there.
He was not going to make the difference in that race.
No. And I mean, we can look at New Jersey and say the same thing.
Right.
But Winsome, I mean, think about this. Northern Virginia is chock full of awfuls, folks.
Yeah.
These are the people that it isn't just the shutdown, because the shutdown is kind of murky about, who's to blame and all that. It's the doging. It's the reductions in force. It's the getting rid of USAID. Half of Northern Virginia is either employed by the federal government or is tangentially related to that. Yeah. So having this administration is like the anathema to them. So any Republican candidate was going to have a very, very, very tough battle. Winsome didn't get out energetically and really go gung-ho early on. And I don't know if that would have made a difference, but I think it was always going to be a very big uphill battle.
Yeah. And keep in mind that sometimes doing the right thing has a cost.
Yeah.
That's a reality. And I think that's one thing we need to keep in mind, that a lot of times we look at this side won, therefore this side may be right. That's not always the case.
No.
But let's go back to, Gavin Newsom he was throwing around the words "no kings." We have good laughs at the No Kings rallies, which there are going to be more of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the No Kings types are taking a victory lap right now. They won.
Yeah. Now they won in areas that they probably should have won in.
Yeah.
But they have.
But still, Virginia, those seats were flipped.
They were.
Those
They
were red seats
absolutely
that
were.
now are blue.
Yes. You have to acknowledge that.
Yeah. And so when it comes to, the No Kings stuff, remember, and when you look at the coalition that makes up this particular movement, it literally includes Communist Party USA.
It does.
It actually includes Democratic Socialists of America. So this is a far fringe left, but is the fringe extremist socialist now the actual bread and butter of the Democratic Party.
Well, that's where the energy is.
Yeah.
I mean, follow the energy. You can look at it in the Republican Party. There's a lot of energy around Donald Trump and the Trump MAGA movement. There's a lot of energy there. You can see it. The energy for the Democrats is not around Chuck Schumer. It's not even around Abby Spanberger.
No. Oh, no. She collaterally
She was.
won.
I was going to say she was a beneficiary of
Yeah.
that. It's around AOC.
Mhm.
It's around Mamdani. It's around the younger, more vibrant, out there, loud characters. And the fact that Hakeem Jeffries is part of that is kind of funny to me, because he's the most vanilla person I've ever seen. He's uninspiring, but he is benefiting from that as well. And that's what you have to look at, is what is energizing people.
Yeah, PMS 3105 says the West Coast and East Coast big cities don't represent the rest of the country, so they can win all of the seats that they're supposed to. Doesn't change anything in the Midwest for now.
For now.
I think it's probably fair.
That's definitely fair, as long as their wins don't turn into them being able to win even more seats congressionally, like California's trying to do, like Illinois is trying to do. That's where we run into a problem. And then there's the whole drafting, the energy thing that I was just talking about. Okay, yeah, does Zoran Mamdani being the mayor of New York? No, it doesn't directly affect me any more than Bill de Blasio did.
Right, yeah.
But does that, spin up energy and momentum for the Democratic Party?
Okay, so let me make it a St. Louis thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sort of energy and momentum change any of the currents of the race between Wesley Bell and Cori Bush?
No. I don't think so, and I think that's on Cori Bush.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she's not a great candidate, and Wesley's fine. I mean, he's maybe not as over the top. He's a little quieter, but he's fine, and he's progressive. It's not. I don't think she's going to have.
Yeah.
She had an opportunity to prove herself in Congress. She did
she
nothing.
She proved what she is.
Right. Yeah. No. I don't think that changes things up for that race.
Because you know that if you're part of Cori Bush's camp, you're looking at all this going, we're back.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if they find somebody other than Cori, who is of, the far left progressive ilk and is a little bit of a firebrand, but isn't like Looney Tune.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. That could work.
Yeah,
but I don't think Cori's it.
Yeah, good luck finding one of those who aren't. Remember, the Looney Tunes got elected here.
Yes.
That's the thing to keep in mind but you have to take seriously the reality of what just happened. And I still think we're right and they're wrong, but that didn't change the outcome of the election.
Do we think Tashara would ever want to be a congressional representative?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
maybe you see Tashara throw
Yeah.
her hat in the ring.
I understand she needs a job right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Oh, I don't think she's done running for something.
okay.
Now, I don't know what she could get elected to at the moment in the city.
No, I'm thinking of running for Congress.
Oh, I could see her running at some point. You know, I don't think she's going to run against Cori Bush. They're BFFs.
Right.
But I don't think we're done seeing her on a ballot.
Probably not.
Yeah. So but she's I mean, you think about it this way, Cori Bush and Tashara Jones, they're every bit as radical as Mamdani.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
No, he's a better messenger.
Yeah. And as Chris said, there are things that matter in elections that we don't like to think matter.
Mm-hmm.
He's young. He's a good public speaker.
Charismatic.
He's a good looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And
I
he's
think he's not good looking, but whatever.
But you know, he is very good interpersonally around with people, and he's good with social media.
Yeah.
He's very talented in those areas.
He is.
And that matters more than what your ideology and philosophy is. And I think a lot of people overlooked an absolutely horrific ideology, and they elected the guy because, like, oh, I like that guy.
Good luck.
They're definitely going to need it. But you're not going to believe who thinks she can get elected to the U.S. Senate in Texas. Or maybe you will. Let's talk political delusions at 7:35 with RedState's sister Toldjah, Stacey Matthews, coming up soon. But before we get to that, the exodus from New York City before Mamdani's election, Larry Connors has a few thoughts on that.
I'll never be like you. Every time I see myself, I can't picture my eyes.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
We hear about wokeness, but let me just say, we woke up.
on NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures a little bit warmer to start this morning into the mid-50s. This afternoon, a high of 69 degrees, looking mostly sunny. Winds gustier out of the southwest up to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, tracking temperatures back towards the mid-60s. Partly cloudy Friday, some AM rain chances, looking at highs into the lower 70s. Saturday, going to be seeing a cold front moving through, highs to the mid-60s, looking at a major cool down Sunday into the mid-40s. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
PRI Global now has Prismatic, an AI-driven platform that can help you and your business, especially in construction. Simplify your operations, secure data, modernize your business from the cloud up. Visit PRIGlobal.com. Innovation with talent and technology. People, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. Check them out. PRIGlobal.com. PRIGlobal.com.
Larry Connors Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors Commentary on News Talk STL.
Put the New York City election aside, the fact remains New Yorkers are fleeing the Big Apple. The New York Post reports that more than 125,000 New Yorkers fled to Florida in recent years, taking nearly $14 billion worth of income. That's just one example of those who left New York. And that was just for Florida. Others headed to Texas or another friendly area. Why is this not just happening, but accelerating? The basic cost of living, taxes, crime, overcrowding. And for those left behind, it's not going to get any better. In fact, they can expect more taxes because 1% of the top earners in New York City contribute to nearly 40% of all the New York State income taxes. Several major businesses, prominent banks, financial institutions, reducing their footprint in New York City. In fact, right now, the largest bank in the U.S., J.P. Morgan Chase, has more employees in Texas than in New York. You've heard it said, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Well, some are deciding, I don't need to go to New York, do I? And they're not.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hi, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, capitalism, that is increasingly under attack. But why is the free market system so important?
The simple answer, society is much better off because of free markets. Free markets allow individuals and business owners to freely choose what to consume, how to save, where to live and do business, what to produce, and how to protect our valuable resources, and so much more. And this can all happen without requiring heavy government interference. In a nutshell, free markets empower people to live their lives the way they choose. And this makes all our lives better.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it.
Mike Ferguson always on top of his game because he's got Jerome making sure the morning show goes perfect. Don't forget Larry Connors USA, 6 to 8.
Okay, there's reality, and then there's Washington, D.C. Democrats. I think it's fair to say.
That's fair.
I mean, and I say that recognizing that the left won, had a big
They
night.
did.
But
Absolutely.
then there's the folks who are already, and there's the dinosaurs in
Mhm.
Washington, D.C. We're now joined by Stacey Matthews. You may know her better as Sister Toldjah on RedState. Let me start there, because then I want to get to the situation in Texas that you wrote about, that I know that some people really want me to get worked up over, but I just can't help but enjoy the drama there. But let me start with what's happening. 14 times now, Stacey, the Senate Democrats say, nope, we're not reopening the government. How dare Republicans shut down the government? And they go after Mike Johnson constantly, as though the Speaker of the House can control what happens in the Senate. But Mike Johnson seems to be the worst guy they need to be picking fights with on this right now. And you articulated that in your article. The Mike Johnson bulldozer steamrolls Schumer shutdown talking points, and Democrats are helpless to stop him. I mean, what's the dynamics here?
Well, first of all, good morning. I want to say I'm completely thrilled to be on now that Susie Moore is a co-host. I've always enjoyed being on your program, but this is an extra special day, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, Mike Johnson, there's been a lot of talk over the years, and I wrote about this a couple of days ago on RedState.com. There's been a lot of talk over the years, understandable, from conservatives, lifelong Republicans, who always complain that Republicans are talkers more than they are doers and people that take action. Mike Johnson, in the case of the shutdown, he is somebody who's taken action, and he's done talking. And right now, the power of words is on his side. He's been a bulldozer, like I said, for the last 4 weeks. Now I think we're going into day 36, 37 of the shutdown. Every single day, he is reminding people that, hey, it's not our fault that the government is shut down. They passed a clean continuing resolution on September the 19th.
Mm-hmm.
The House Republicans did. And that has been on the table ever since. And Senate Democrats have refused to play ball on it, and for reasons that we understand to be healthcare for illegals and the continued enhanced ACA subsidies. They want to keep that ball rolling. So, but Johnson he's just been really effective. He's like, it's not on Republicans to reopen the government. It's on Democrats. And, and you see the effect of the messaging when you start seeing scattered instances in the mainstream media of people, anchors like at CNN, for example, putting the onus on Democrats and, hey, you guys talk about how you want the government to reopen, but don't you have the power to reopen the government? So that tells you how effective Johnson's messaging has been. In prior shutdowns, it's always Republicans that get blamed, but this time around, we're seeing a different track. And I think a lot of that has to do with how effective Mike Johnson has been in his role as the House Speaker and leading the House through the government shutdown and the messaging wars.
Yeah, Stacey, I think you're right about that. I think it's interesting. One of our other favorite Congress critters from Louisiana, Senator John Kennedy, the national treasure that he is. I mean, he's always great for the kind of fun, quirky sound bites. And of course, he's in the Senate. And yet Mike Johnson has this sort of quiet, unassuming Clark Kentish way about him that people tend to dismiss or underestimate him. And yet he will stand firm. He's been having press conferences, I think, almost every day.
Pretty much, yeah.
I've been pleasantly surprised with Mike Johnson's leadership in the House. What are your thoughts on him overall?
I agree. And it was just to show you kind of how he's just kind of like a well-oiled machine on this. A couple of days ago, he held a press conference with Brooke Rollins, the USDA secretary, and she was, kind of steamrolling Democrats and saying that it was on them that we have this shutdown. But she made a comment where she said something about to the American people. She said, "We are failing you." And I think she was obviously talking about Democrats, but she didn't say the word Democrats. And Mike Johnson, like a laser, he immediately stepped up the podium and he said, "Just to clarify, she's talking about Democrats have failed you, not Republicans." So he's consistently on message like a well-oiled machine, and he's not deviated from his central point that all Democrats in the Senate have to do is to sign on to the clean continuing resolution. Then the government can reopen, we can come back to the table, and we can talk about these things that they want to talk about, but they won't.
What's funny is it seems like ancient history now, but you remember the absolute battle royale that was the Republicans trying to select a new speaker just a couple of years ago, and Mike Johnson comes out of nowhere, and most of us had never heard of him, and now he's one of the most crucial figures in Washington, D.C.
He's very consequential. I think there's, over the last couple of years, his mettle has been tested, and it's in times like these where you need somebody to stand firm against the pressure and against the narratives, and Mike Johnson has once again, in my opinion, risen to the occasion.
Yeah. We've seen him repeatedly pull a rabbit out of a hat with votes in that are razor thin in the House, and yet somehow managed to get it across the finish line, if you will. And it's kind of interesting watching the leadership styles of both him and John Thune, because both of them are kind of quiet, stoic type, not stoic, but quieter, but just sort of steady Eddie kind of guys. And they seem to be working well with President Trump, and they seem to be working well with pushing forward the Republican agenda. Stacey, I know one way or another, when this shutdown ends, the House will come back, and then we're going to be dealing with them trying to wrangle over appropriations. Yeah. How do you see that shaking out? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, and I know we've had some people write about this. I think with what's happening with SNAP, I think that's kind of been the straw that broke the camel's back for some of the Democrats in the Senate and the House, because I think you're already hearing about movement behind the scenes, more movement behind the scenes to get the government reopened than we've heard previously throughout the shutdown process. So I think it's probably going to go better than we anticipate, especially with the holidays coming up, and they're not going to want to be dealing with bad press in the holidays about SNAP and other appropriations funding the ATC and all that sort of thing. So I think this is going to get resolved. Like a lot of things in Washington, D.C., they're going to put a Band-Aid on it, and it's going to be, next year we're going to be having these same discussions. But I think once they come back to the table, I think this is going to be, I pray it's going to be resolved quickly, so we can kind of go back to business, and Republicans themselves can kind of lick their wounds and figure out what they need to do headed into the 2026 midterms, because it's going to be a really interesting battle.
We're visiting with Stacey Matthews, a.k.a. Sister Toldjah from RedState.com. All right, last couple minutes we've got here, Stacey. Jasmine Crockett for Senate. Now, I say, please, can we please have that campaign? But she's actually acting as though she's a serious contender for a U.S. Senate seat in Red, Texas. In your article, sad trombone, the Blexus movement gets more potentially bad news ahead of 2026. It's funny that there are people who take her seriously, but then again, some crazy people just won elections this last 24 hours here. So what do we make of this?
Right. Well, just so everybody knows, Blexus means blue Texas. It's a fantasy that Democrats in Texas have had for many years now. And it was actually during the Cruz and Beto O'Rourke Senate race, because he, came pretty close. It was a much closer fight than people anticipated. There's been this fantasy that they can turn Texas blue. Well, the 2024 election, if you look at the result of that, not just in the presidential race, but others, you'll see that's really fantasy. But Jasmine Crockett, she thinks that she could be a contender for the Senate, and actually, as far as being a Democrat nominee, she might be telling the truth, because some polling, I've looked at it, some of the polling for her shows that she, out of the people that potentially could be contenders, she ranks at the top right now. And so she thinks that maybe she would have a shot to win in the state of Texas in the statewide race, which again is a fantasy. But I'm like you, Mike. I'm like, yeah, please, by all means. Ted Cruz and John Cornyn and all the others in Texas who are in the Senate, or who are Senate candidates on the Republican side, are probably like, how much money can we give you to do this, please? And they might even, run ads. Jasmine Crockett has been an effective leader for Democrats, things like that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I want to preface this too by saying, Mike, that even though things look good for Republicans in Texas, and they have for a long time, you never want to take your foot off the gas. Because the Cruz O'Rourke election is a classic example of that. Ted Cruz has said, if we don't keep pushing, and if we don't keep acting like we're 20 points behind instead of 20 points ahead, we can lose Texas. So the fight is never over there, even though it is pretty solidly red. You still need to keep your foot on the gas, because Democrats are always going to be churning out the ideas to try to turn Texas blue. And if we lose Texas, we lose everything.
All right. Stacey Matthews, a.k.a. Sister Toldjah from Red State. What's coming up from you today on Red State?
Oh, goodness. We're reading the tea leaves from the election, and everybody's got their hot takes, and I'm going to share mine. And mine is basically, I'll give you a preview, is that Virginia is a problem child. And I think I can say that with some background knowledge, because North Carolina is obviously the neighboring state to Virginia. So we've watched Virginia rise and fall. She will rise again, but it's going to take a little bit of creativity on the part of Virginia Republicans.
All right. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stacey. Flashback Friday is going to return. So we need your 80s bump music requests. Send them to Jerome or post them in the Rumble chat or the comments below today's Facebook live stream. We want to hear them.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the wall.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The people know the truth.
On NewsTalk STL.
Hey, NewsTalkSTL listeners, this is Levi with Reach Reproductive Health. So first, I want to say thank you for standing in the gap for life. Because truly, it's because of people like you that many babies who otherwise would have been aborted are living today. I'm grateful to be fighting this cause with you. I'd like to invite you out to Reach's inaugural annual gala. It's our stakeholders launch. We're having it November the 6th at 6 p.m. at the Commons in Chesterfield. Space really is limited, so I want you to RSVP right now. Go grab your spot at outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
NewsTalkSTL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalkSTL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Hey, folks, it's Chris Salcedo, your liberty-loving Latino on Newsmax. Hey, everybody likes Mike. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Make sure you check it out. News Talk STL.
All right. There are a lot of big debates happening right now.
There are.
I mean, you've got the absolute freedom versus socialism.
Yep.
I mean, that's huge.
Huge.
There's no question about that. Free markets versus central planning and big government. Now, and I'm going to say central planning and big government from both parties.
Yes.
So you've got that. That's not necessarily partisan. Obviously on the right, you've got the whole big tent versus vetting awful people from a ranks debate that's happening. That's huge as well. But then there's this time of year, there's also the really to the heart of the matter debate,
which is,
when is it okay to put up Christmas decorations?
Oh boy, you opened a can of worms.
I know.
You?
I did. Yeah, because there's always a survey about it every year. And it was YouGov that did the survey on this.
YouGov.
Yeah. Which the thing is with YouGov, they're like online surveys.
Yeah.
So, but they have huge sample sizes for the most like inane things.
Right.
So I don't know what that means as far as the accuracy goes, but the larger the sample size,
it's probably more accurate for things like for cultural questions versus political questions, because people just want to say how they feel.
So around the room, when is it okay to put up Christmas decorations? Now, I don't mean when should it be legal. I'm not pulling the I'm not doing a libertarian thing. I'm like, when is it just okay and you should not be scorned for it?
When is it okay to do without being beaten by your neighbors? All right.
Yeah.
I would say on the first day of Christmas, when it, the 12 days of Christmas song, on the first day that would start to lead into Christmas, that's my vote.
Okay, well, the reason I'm just going to quibble with that a little bit, because I think Christmas is the first day of Christmas, because it goes through Epiphany.
Right, that's the Epiphany. Yeah.
So that would be too late in my book. But if you're talking about like 12 days before Christmas,
that's
totally reasonable.
That's how the song goes. The first day of Christmas.
I know. So they're talking about Christmas Day being day 1, and then Epiphany is day 12.
I just learned something new. Okay, 2 weeks before Christmas.
There you
go.
That's
2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because you hear people talking about the Christmas season. Traditionally, that goes back to Epiphany from the theological sense.
I had a Illinois public school education, Mike.
We're taking it to church.
And the funny part was, I'm a Baptist preacher's kid. We didn't recognize Epiphany.
No,
so I didn't learn about that till much later as to what that was. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think?
So for me, it's Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay.
That's from a practical standpoint. Like if you're not running every which way, shopping and doing all that stuff, which I hate doing, that's a good like downtime weekend to actually get stuff out, get it organized, and get stuff put up. So I just think from a practical standpoint, and then I like Christmas season, so I like that sort of feeling of warmth and cheer that having the decorations that brings you.
Okay, interesting comment on Rumble here. Mike, you can put up your lights, but not turn them on until after Thanksgiving. You have to capitalize on the good weather. This coming from a Christmas house decorating champion in my neighborhood.
That's a pro right there.
There it is. Okay, so here's the YouGov results on this. Let's see here. A poll found that most people think putting Christmas decorations up before Thanksgiving is fine now. 55% of people say it's okay to put up Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving, which means 55% of people are wrong. But that's what the poll says. 33% said unacceptable. 12% of people said, I got other things to worry about.
Okay.
They answered the survey to say they're not answering the survey.
There you go.
On this. But 2/3 are basically like, hey, you do you.
What do you think?
I am not a big Christmas guy. And I'm married to a big Christmas gal. So she goes full tilt Thanksgiving and beyond. If it were up to me, I would say start playing Christmas music. I'd say around December 21st would be a good time to do it, but I'm in the minority on that. To me, like I would compromise and say December 1st makes sense.
Okay, that's not unreasonable.
Right.
I'm going to make two arguments here for
Okay.
why the extended season is actually my preference.
Yeah.
First of all, Hallmark, because they start Christmas movies like in October.
Yeah.
And I'm a Hallmark person, so that
Okay.
kind of helps get me into the spirit. But also, particularly after, we fell back last weekend, I'm one of those people that's very much affected by the, waning daylight and the fact that the days are getting very, very short. And this is getting to that time of year where we can't be outside and enjoying the warmth. That depresses me. So having something to balance that, like Christmas lights and jingles and things that are, that Christmas smelling candles, anything to kind of like make you feel cozy and sort of help offset that, I am all for.
I can get that. Vicky, my daughter already put up her Christmas tree, shocked her husband.
Oh, it's a little on the early side for that.
Yeah, okay, so the other part is I like the actual process of putting stuff up is so tedious to me.
Well,
and somebody may say, well, Mike, if you had your druthers, would you just not have decorations up all
Yeah.
I know that I
I
can't
have a
get
pre-lit tree, so it's pretty easy to put
Yeah.
up. I mean, it's just putting the ornaments on, so it's not that much work.
Yeah. All right. So there you have it. The debate is now underway.
Okay.
Now we have a new stream commenter, Duca. Thanks for joining us this morning. Part of his business or hers, part of their business is putting up the Christmas lights, and people are calling them before Thanksgiving
Yeah.
to do this.
Sure.
Now, I can accept the good weather argument.
Yes.
But it's still, I mean, why would you just have a bunch of unlit lights hanging off the side of your house?
Why not?
Well, I guess if you're taking down your Halloween stuff, you're like, well, it's the same day. Might
You might as well put it up. You don't have to light it right away.
There are some areas like I was at a political type meeting at one of the really fancy big houses in, gosh, was it Chesterfield or one of those areas earlier this year? Where every house is a mansion kind of thing. And I drove in. It was not quite a year ago. I think it was December.
Yeah.
And every single house had like a, Saks Fifth Avenue
Professionally done.
I mean, every single one of them were clearly professionally done, and it was like a uniform through the whole like development.
I don't really like that.
Yeah, it was like it's impressive, but it's nobody was going to stand out, but they had to be great.
Yeah.
Now we've got a rebel in our midst.
Okay.
Kathleen says, I listen to Christmas music from time to time all year long whenever I feel like it.
Well, it's a free country.
Well, and now in
Have at it.
fairness, I
Have
have
at it.
those little string lights that you can just put up anywhere with battery operated. I've left those up because in the evening I kind of like the warm ambient glow from them.
Oh.
It's not about Christmas as much as it is just having the light and the color.
So it's
Okay, I can see that.
Now, have you ever been the person who left them up so late? You're like, well, might as well just be early for next year. I've actually seen that
I have not fallen prey to that.
but I've seen that. It's like they never took them down. They never took them down. And then one point it's like, it's
I
almost
get it.
Halloween. Just leave it up
I
there.
get it. I've never done it, but I get it.
Okay. So let us know what's your preference on those. But then again, I've been accused of being kind of a Grinch during the season. I really like Thanksgiving, but I'm just not a big Christmas guy.
We may have to work on that.
Yeah, you may have to
give
try
you a little
that.
grief.
Yeah, maybe. And then I say, bah humbug. And get my bah humbugs like revive those.
Oh, okay.
I gotta bring them back.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
It is going to be a cold weekend, but we're going to visit with Jenna Fisher from The Office. That should warm things up. I left Washington, D.C. 43 years ago this week. I'm going to tell you about the two enormous movie stars I ran into on my final day there. And as always, great songs you know and love, but that don't get played on the radio anymore. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. News Talk STL.
Cooking a pizza using coal? That's creating an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district at Chesterfield. Try it. You can thank me later. Also, don't forget that Lit Cigar Lounge is just a few doors away. Top-of-the-line cigars and whiskeys. TVs in every direction. Watch your sports while enjoying your drink and smoke. LitSTL.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. No doubt the postmortem is already underway among the Republican powers that be following yesterday's Democrat sweep of the midterm elections. Democrat socialist Zoran Mamdani won the New York City mayoral race and quotes a 20th century socialist hero.
The sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity.
In New Jersey, Democrat Mikey Sherrill is the governor-elect. Her Republican challenger Jack Ciattarelli vows the fight for the deep blue Garden State will go on.
Our job doesn't end. Yes, Republicans are the minority party, but that means also being the loyal opposition and continuing to ensure that our voice is heard, the voice of the middle class, the voice of every minority across this state.
Virginia voters are sending Abigail Spanberger to the governor's office. A Democrat congressional redistricting plan is one of voter approval in California. The Democrats will hold on to 3 seats on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. No doubt the elections will be discussed as President Trump meets at the White House with Republican senators. The topic one will be the ongoing government shutdown, which White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says is snarling air travel.
TSA checkpoint wait times ballooned past 3 hours at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport, with some passengers enduring up to 5 hours in line. At nearby William P. Hobby Airport in Texas, security wait times are routinely exceeding 1 hour.
On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures 44 points higher. NASDAQ futures up 11 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The national debt is soaring and the dollar is weakening. Rising deficits and market instability are creating a perfect storm of economic uncertainty. In unpredictable times, more people are turning to physical gold and silver, real tangible assets that have protected wealth for centuries, as a way to safeguard their savings and retirement. And now with the Fed preparing another rate cut, precious metals are poised for dramatic gains in the coming weeks. At Advantage Gold, we help you move your IRA or eligible 401k 401k into physical precious metals, tax-free and penalty-free. When you call 800-741-GOLD, you'll receive a free gold guide packed with real-world strategies to help protect your investments. Call 800-741-GOLD or visit AdvantageGold.com. Call 800-741-4653. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures a little bit warmer to start this morning into the mid-50s. This afternoon, a high of 69 degrees, looking mostly sunny. Winds gustier out of the southwest up to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, tracking temperatures back towards the mid-60s, partly cloudy. Friday, some AM rain chances, looking at highs into the lower 70s. Saturday, going to be seeing a cold front moving through, highs to the mid-60s, looking at a major cool down Sunday into the mid-40s. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Salute the savings at Country Mart this Veterans Day with our 3-day sale November 7th through 9th. Stock up on family pack ground beef, just $3.99 a pound. Quench your thirst with assorted Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, or 7-Up products. 6-pack, 16.9-ounce bottles, 3 for $10. Plus, Smithfield bacon only $3.48 and Jumbo Granny Smith apples at $1.39 a pound. Salute the savings at Country Mart November 7th through 9th. 925 Plaza Drive in St. Clair.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Toldjah to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
This whole thing's got me thinking about how privileged I've been. America's a wonderful country. If I were a black man, I'd be furious. We're getting frustrated.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
There are certain issues that we need improvement. They would rather have this country on its knees than be successful.
News, analysis, opinion.
We have common sense, and the Democrats have none.
101.9 and 94.1.
And I appreciate the discussion.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Susie Moore.
Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, celebration is happening across America's socialist communities right now. The wailing, the gnashing of the teeth is underway among conservatives. But here's the question, the bigger question. What, if anything, do the results from yesterday's elections tell us about the future of either the Democratic Party and or the country in general?
Hopefully not worst case scenario.
We're now joined by Tony Kinnett from Daily Signal and, of course, of the Tony Kinnett Show fame as well. So, Tony, great to chat with you again. I mean, let's be honest about it. Big night for the Democrats, but not even just Team Blue. This is the radical fringe kind of coming out party of Team Blue. They had a big night last night in a variety of areas.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, it was really rough covering it live. I didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy it at all. I even made the 5-stack PB&J that Gavin Newsom brings to the table. All right, I did everything I could here to really like lean in and get the vibes of the election. And instead, what I ended up seeing was Republicans running Winston Earl Sears, which I'm sorry, I said it since the beginning. She was a horrible candidate. She was a horrible candidate. She had no vision. She had no charisma. She would get out there and she would say, I'm not Abigail Spanberger. And we would say, well, yeah, you've been lieutenant governor for the last, 4 years. What do you have for Virginia? And she said, I'm not Abigail Spanberger. And she had some good moments, some moments that I liked, but there was nothing special about her. And that's what you get. Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey had a better chance, but he got clocked because that is the year of the Karen. We are here. The Democrats are running two types of candidates now. Gone are the old grumpy white men. Gone are the Chuck Schumers and the Tim Walls. Now it is time for every one or two candidates. Either number one, You get the Zoran Mamdanis, the young kind of Barack Obama fill-in, the jihadi goofball idiot socialists. And then on the other side, you get the corporate Karens, middle-aged white women on the left who are tired of only griping at people at the HOA meetings. And now they're ready to use corporate buzzwords from, whatever office they've run for. That's the future, unfortunately, for the left.
Yeah. So when we talk about the future, are we talking about moment in time as in for the next steps, or is this something that tells us what's coming? And off year elections, 2026, historically, it's tough for the party in power. So does this show a more permanent direction in the Democratic Party or on the left? We're talking about the No Kings people really won some of these races.
They did. And this is the real catch here. So I don't believe in the idea that, this is the bellwether for the country. You see some of the gloom and doom. I am nervous that some people whose opinions kind of matter are going to say this is the bellwether and, we need to change strategies for 2026. I don't think so. A lot of these are very blue areas, and blue areas ran blue people who are very motivated against Trump. Few things can be true here. Number one, the shutdown did hurt Republicans. It hurt Republicans in Virginia for sure. It also is 100% true that right now the left has, again, been able to rally the college-educated, middle-aged white women, which is still a solid enough voting block. If no one comes out for the election, these were some low turnout elections, then they're going to be able to walk through with things. You actually need to get Republicans excited to come out and vote. But to answer your question is, what do I mean by, this is what's next? I mean more like this is the year of the Karen. For the next year, you're going to see the power of old white women. So whether it's Nicole Wallace, whether it's, I could start listing, middle-aged white women who all seem to look the same and act the same. We would be here all day. I'm not going to do it. But that's the next step. And then any young socialist that they find to throw in, I think that's going to be the primary winner. So general primary into 2026, that will hurt them in the midterms, but they're not going to realize that now.
They don't recoil from the word socialist anymore. Mamdani is damn near a communist, if not full on, but socialist is a word that they don't run from anymore. And they find that to be marketable. Is it with younger voters?
So the issue with running just socialism as a platform itself is that it's become kind of a toxic buzzword to kind of what used to scare Americans during the Cold War. You would say socialist or communist and it would scare people away, but the word lost meaning as the American populace grew disinterested or unable to actually facilitate the meaning behind the words socialist and communist. You saw this on MSNBC yesterday morning. Mamdani gets up there and Joe Scarborough fluffs him as nicely as possible and says, well, you're not actually a communist, right? And Mamdani did that laugh where you can hear the dollar bills between every syllable, that style laugh. And it was, well, of course, I'm not a communist. I'm a democratic socialist. He didn't explain the difference. He didn't say what that meant. And then in his victory speech, which the only thing it was missing was Erica from the 1930s, he was yelling about, I believe the sentiment, I have to paraphrase here. I don't have the quote in front of me. We will ensure that there is no problem too small for government to look in on or too big for government to solve.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to see it. That's what the youths want. They want someone to take care of the issues for them. And that's in large part because the right refuses to paint a picture of how to solve those issues. That's also a key problem.
Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy had an interesting video that he put out.
He's right where I was going.
Yeah, because he was saying it's about affordability. It's about affordability. We got our asses handed to us. What should that picture be that the Republicans or the right in general is putting out there? I don't want to sell out, principles, but what's the right way to sell those principles and win races again?
Okay, so here's the issue. So Republicans have a classic style of governance, which is leave me the heck alone. I want you to leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of that, by the way, which is true and is admirable. Unfortunately, that's not how a country works. You're a citizen. You're not a resident. You have a responsibility to keep the country running. You have a responsibility to solve the problems at hand. And unfortunately, you have had a lot of Republicans, and this comes out of the Tea Party, where they would say, well, what if we just take off the chains and everything will be wonderful? Well, the problem is there's a lot of bad actors who will take advantage of that. So you actually need to thread a line between when does intervention matter? How does it matter? How does getting things done matter? What norms are important? And what things are kind of relics that some are using to essentially wreck the system? And I think this is something the Republican Party is going to have to figure out and how to pitch to people. Vivek made it quite clear. Things aren't affordable. There are Republicans that are whistling past the graveyard on the economy right now. You can go, well, but Biden was worse. Yeah, I agree. But Trump has to get the economy moving at 88 miles an hour, or come midterm, you're going to see some serious stuff.
Yeah, let me, okay.
Again, I very much agree on this, but it's a rough thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, let's say, but 2026, that goes right to what I was about to ask you regarding, I think the most consequential election result was Proposition 50 in California, because Virginia elected leaders for Virginia, New York City elected a guy for New York City. California's Prop 50 result, that changes the math, or could change the math in Congress, in the U.S. House of Representatives.
I'm going to level with you. I just don't, from either side, I'm not really feeling kind of the pluralistic clutching on this one. California, of course, was going to vote for Prop 50. Right. I mean, California is a blue hellhole. I mean, that's what it does. It does blue hellhole things. And so right now, Texas, especially, already having moved forward with redistricting, other red states moving forward with redistricting. Yeah, California is going to do so. What I hope comes out of Prop 50 is that here in Indiana, where I'm broadcasting out of this morning, I hope that the state senators who are still on the fence about whether or not they want to redistrict, they go ahead and redistrict. Because you're right, it's on the national stage. It's a national fight. Congress wasn't supposed to be treated like this, but we threw that out when we destroyed the state election of senators. And when we started making everything in Congress a popularity Congress, and the bureaucracy started running the show. So screw it. Let's go for broke.
I am glad I'm not the only person who said we made a big mistake by directly electing senators and change. People look at me like I've got 3 eyeballs when I say that. So I'm feeling a little validated right now, Tony.
Oh, I mean, I'm just being, when you look at the scoreboard, we're Midwesterners, all right? Yep. Scoreboard matters. Since certain things have happened, bad decisions bring bad results. We saw this with some of the Republican Party measures right now. Oh, if we just get out there and say we're not the left like we did in 2024, that works phenomenally in a presidential election. In an off-year election, you're the party in power. So saying I'm not them sucks for the party in power, because we know we elected you. So if Winston Earl Sears in Virginia would have gotten up and said, this is what I did with Youngkin, this is what we're going to do with 4 more years, we're going to push, let's get to it, there would have been more support. She didn't do that. And I know, because I spent the entire election looking. And the reason, by the way, I use the word Karens to describe the left as opposed to any other name, it really is the HOA, middle-aged white woman, college-educated person that they've stepped up to the plate, who are immune to the I'm not them line of attack. It bounces off of them because they'll corporate buzzword you to death. Well, if you look at the photosynthesis, actually it's equitably economicus frustrious. And everyone just kind of drools, and then the Democrats vote, we go home.
Yeah. And we know that the Republican Party has a fantastic history of learning from mistakes and moving on in the smart way. Well, maybe, okay. Having said that, okay, so where then do the Republicans regroup? I mean, how much of a self-reflection, and where should that self-reflection be? It's got to be more than just messaging, I would think.
So yes, it does have to be more about the messaging, but it also means, so the Trump administration is going to have to pick a lane. And this is something that is unpopular, but it's true. The Trump administration is trying to play both sides of the Bill Clinton populist economy and the pseudo free market economy. You got to pick one. Either you move in and you actually have the administrative state govern in solid ways. Think Rubio. I think, of course, the Sean Duffy's Department of Transportation, and tell Howard Lutnick to shut up. Tell Peter Navarro, I haven't seen him since the major debacles of a couple months ago. Get him out of here. Again, judges need to be impeached. James Boasberg needs to quit sending people in front of the press to say, well, I really don't like that judge in D.C. Good, impeach him then. Are we going to play the game to win with the rules that are at hand, or are we going to sit around and go, well, actually, I like the tariffs. Well, I don't like the tariffs. We don't have time to debate this for another 3 months. Either govern or get out of the way. That's what Vivek was saying. And again, as a not Vivek fan, I don't care for him. He was more right on the money than anybody else last night.
All right, Tony Kinnett, we've already tagged you on our social media, obviously, but they want to check out the podcast. They want to check out your show, get in touch with you. What's the way to do it?
You can find me over on Twitter or X at the Tonus, TheTonus, no DEI garbage, no silly nonsense, just sarcastic Midwestern goodness.
Sounds good to me. Thanks, Tony. Great chat with you again.
Yes, sir.
All right. 314-912-1019. We did have some better results with elections here in the St. Louis region. We'll run through that right around 8:20. So give me 2.5 minutes right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On News Talk STL.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need to understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacey today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Johnny Tobacco, he's host of Wise Guys on Newsmax. The polls are saying that Kami Mandami is going to be the next mayor of New York.
Well, Chris, I don't know what they say out in St. Louis about polls, but here in New York, we say polls are good in two places, strip clubs and firehouse. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriotti sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, just saw something in some of the media, the stuff that goes across my desk here, across my computer. The federal government shutdown is now the longest in U.S. history. We did it. Woo! We did it. We did
yes.
it. All right. USA. USA. Or something like that. All right. Okay. Supreme Court is hearing arguments on whether the president actually has the authority to unilaterally impose tariffs. So we're going to get to that update for you. This is probably the most important thing happening today. I mean, the elections are important and all that. This is really, really a big deal. Blues try to build some momentum tonight. We do have that going on. It is 8:21. Let's go and dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. Voters reject a majority of the tax increase proposals in the St. Louis area on Tuesday. So listen, a lot of bad news on the elections around the rest part of the country. Good news here. Creve Coeur, Bellefontaine neighbors approved sales tax increases. That's unfortunate. Ladue, Festus, Veneta Park all rejected the sales tax increase proposals.
Well, at least it's good to know some people have common sense.
Right. Yeah. So a majority of the sales taxes were rejected here in the metro area. Now, voters in the Melville School District said yes to a property tax increase, but voters in the Rockwood School District, by a narrow margin, rejected their property tax increase proposal there. So overall, if you're keeping score, tax increases versus defeating tax increases, the good side won just slightly more, one more. So it was a majority of tax increases that went down yesterday.
Which, Yeah, I don't know why anybody would voluntarily say, yes, please tax me
Please
more.
tax me
Because,
more,
you
yeah.
know, the one thing government is absolutely known for is how amazing they are with handling tax revenue.
Right, exactly. And Clayton's city charter will now be more gender neutral after voters there approved an amendment that was on the ballot. There were other things in it too, but that was like what they're leading on. Oh, okay, well, whatever. You do, they thems, whatever.
It's just funny. It's tax. Let's change a couple words here. Tax.
That's right. Oh man. All right. Well, the shutdown, as we said, continues. Now, here's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people are saying this is probably going to end this week now that these elections are over. Maybe, I don't know. It could very well be, but this could also drag on because as we talked to Congressman Bob Onder a little bit ago, well, I guess Monday, I guess we talked to him. He said that at this point, they're not going to do a continuing resolution and approve what's already in front of them, because then it's only good for like a week or week and a half. They would have to change it till December, January, something like that, which means it's got to go back through the House. So they could do that in a day or two, but it's not just the Senate votes and it's all back up and running. So Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy talking about the impact of the shutdown on air traffic control, on transportation. And he is saying that things are going to get noticeably worse quickly if it's not resolved.
If you bring us to a week from today, Democrats, you will see mass chaos. You will see mass flight delays. You'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers.
Okay, almost all of the Senate Democrats voted again yesterday for the 14th time to keep the government closed, the federal government closed as well. All right. Proposition 50 out in California. Here's Governor Gavin Newsom taking his victory lap. And when he's spiking the football, says, this is for Donald Trump.
People waiting up 3 hours to cast their vote, to send a message to Donald Trump. No crowns, no thrones, no kings.
Yeah. The no kings theme, we've had some fun with that, and they are pretty goofy, but it's the no king stuff that actually won.
Yeah, and Proposition 50 is going to hurt.
Yeah. So it's basically putting a check and evening it out from what Texas did. So that's where you're at. So what's Indiana going to do? What's Illinois going to do? That sort of thing. And in New York City, of course, the whole country is talking about Zoran Mamdani being the mayor-elect. And of course, he also, in his spikage of the football, is talking about Donald Trump.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him.
Yeah. So Donald Trump is talking about like not giving federal funds to New York City. I don't think that's going to actually work for him. But basically, you've got people getting elected and winning races still on the Democratic side with the campaign foundation of Orange Man Bad.
I mean, it's just if they put half the amount of time they put towards spiting President Trump into actually doing something beneficial for the people that they represent, maybe these states and these cities would not have so much homelessness, so much poverty. I mean, all these issues that are going on. Maybe stop sitting there saying, orange mad, and say, hey, I'm going to put that energy towards actually helping people that elect me.
Oh, that's just crazy talk.
That's too much.
Yeah. Okay. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger defeated Winsome Sears. She had a little more of a typical traditional victory speech.
I want you to know that my goal and my intent is to serve all Virginians.
And she was, she spoke well of Winsome Sears. But in Virginia, understand that those are red seats that flipped blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I would say that Virginia is very purple, maybe a little more blue than red, but the Republicans, they were given those statewide seats by voters, and Democrats just took all of them back.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's not
and none of them were close.
Wow,
none of them were close there. All right, another Republican jumped into the race for Illinois governor this week. Video gambling mogul Rick Heidner filed the paperwork to run, and he's already committed $1 million to his campaign.
Wow.
Yeah. So clearly he's done very well in the video gambling sphere.
Now, I'm not entirely sure how you use that sort of background in politics. I mean, I guess it is a gamble, but
yeah, but there it is. Now he's one of 7 Republicans in the race, and that includes, of course, former state senator Darren Bailey, former Wire Points writer Ted Dabrowski. Both of them have been on this program recently, and DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick. Yeah, there we go. Okay, President Trump's tariff case is going before the U.S. Supreme Court literally as we speak.
The importance of this case cannot be overstated.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president must have emergency economic powers to impose tariffs, and that the White House is optimistic.
We are 100% confident in the president and his team's legal arguments in the merits of the law in this case.
Justices will be deciding whether Donald Trump overstepped federal law to set sweeping import taxes. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so I know people have really, really strong opinions on this, and you all know I'm a free markets guy. I'm not a tariffs guy, but that's not what the case is actually about. So as we debate whatever the ruling is going to be, whenever it comes out, probably early next year. This is going to be my guess. Maybe earlier than that. I don't know. But understand that the Supreme Court is not being asked to decide if the tariffs are a good or bad idea. That's not what they're not even being asked to decide if the tariffs are legal or if they should be, 10% or 40%. That has nothing to do with the case in front of them. What they are going to decide is whether the president has the authority by himself to set and change the tariffs by stroke of the pen. That's the case before the Supreme Court.
So if they say, no, the president does not have that power, for one, then that kind of takes away some of the leverage he's been using with international.
Well, it takes away almost all of it. Yeah.
And then number 2 is, would that mean that we would have to then get rid of any existing tariffs that were issued under this presidency?
Yes. The potential is billions of dollars would be refunded unless they give some sort of caveat to that. So here's what the Supreme Court's being asked. If Congress set these tariffs, you don't have a Supreme Court case because the Constitution gives the power to tax to Congress, and tariffs are taxes. Congress, and the president say, well, they passed a law that they outsource that to me. So basically the Supreme Court's being asked to decide whether or not that outsourcing is constitutional or legal.
Ooh.
So that's what's at stake. I have heard people argue that this case is about whether or not the Constitution is a limiting document or whether it is a permissive document. And so we'll find out what the Supreme Court says. I honestly would not want to try to guess what the Supreme Court's going to rule on this. I don't know. This just in, a quick note, the Epstein files are still being hidden. They've not been released. Just checked on that. And the Blues are on the road to play the Capitals tonight. That game starts at 6:30 our time. Blues are on a 1-game winning streak. Woo! One game is not a winning streak, but I'm going to take whatever I can get this season. Okay, so Blues hoping to build some momentum in DC.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We Democrats know so much. That is true. And we have to kind of tell everybody how smart we are.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Temperatures a little bit warmer to start this morning into the mid-50s. This afternoon, a high of 69 degrees, looking mostly sunny. Winds gustier out of the southwest up to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, tracking temperatures back towards the mid-60s, partly cloudy. Friday, some AM rain chances, looking at highs into the lower 70s. Saturday, going to be seeing a cold front moving through, highs to the mid-60s, looking at a major cool down Sunday into the mid-40s. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Fox News commentary with Guy Benson, next.
Feel that chill in the air? Now's the perfect time to layer up. The outerwear shop is now open at Untuckit with sharp new jackets and vests made for this season and beyond. You'll find all the right layers to keep you warm and looking sharp, including cozy sweaters, sweatshirts, and more. But hurry, fall weather won't wait, and neither should you. So don't miss the outerwear shop, open now at untuckit.com and more than 80 stores worldwide. Untuckit, shirts designed to be worn, untucked.
Here's Guy Benson.
Kamala Harris, that's the former vice president of the United States. She ran for president, still selling her book, 107 Days, underscoring how little time she had. Her problem was not having too little time. It was having too much time. She peaked at her own convention, and they held her back from interviews, from all sorts of things. Remember, they didn't have policies on her website for a long time. She didn't do interviews for weeks after becoming the nominee. And they all chanted, joy, 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 and tried to pretend like this mediocrity who was a punchline as vice president, who had all sorts of negative stories written about her and planted about her, even by her fellow Democrats in the Biden administration. They all tried to pretend just for a second, oh no, it's joy and superstar, and isn't this amazing? And we're so fun, and we're so energized. Didn't last.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hi, it's Randy Toldjah here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Oh, okay, I'm actually a little confused about the whole SNAP thing right now.
Oh.
Okay, so we had the rulings. So the Trump administration says the SNAP benefits are going to be partially paid out. But then the next day, the president says, he goes on True Social, and he says they will not be paid out until Democrats allow the federal government to reopen. And so I'm not sure where that is. I don't know where that is right now. And so the earliest they thought they could get something paid out is today. So I don't know if like a partial payment's going to go out, if the president's going to try. I mean, the courts have made their ruling on it. The Trump administration says they're not going to appeal that ruling. So they're going to let that ruling stand that says they have to send out basically what they can that they have in the contingency fund. So I don't know what that means. We're going to know tomorrow, I think. By the time the show comes on tomorrow, we'll know what happens because something will happen or not happen today.
I don't know when the original statement to say, okay, fine, we'll partially fund it came out, but I can maybe imagine a scenario where he's noticing that there are states that are redirecting their own funds internally to try to, and then saying, okay, so the states have it. So I can go back on that and try to leverage this again to reopen the government.
The statements were Monday and then Tuesday respectively.
Okay.
That's what happened. So, but then again, the courts, gave that ruling on it. You can agree with them or disagree with them and that sort of thing, but that's where things stand. Okay. So let me back up a little bit outside of that. Mental exercise time.
Ooh.
Okay. So one of the more interesting podcasts for like wonky people, is called Words and Numbers. Okay. So and I know both these guys, but it's very popular podcast, especially in sort of the free market sphere. So Anthony Davies, James Harrigan, these guys are both pretty free market, really kind of small L libertarian-ish, but they talk about economics and they talk about cultural stuff. And there's all sorts of things. They always have phenomenal debates going on. And so let me set that up with it because James had a really interesting take on the SNAP stuff and the welfare benefits in general, because generally speaking, the closer you are to being libertarian, the more you're going to say, I don't want to pay for it at all.
Yeah.
Stop sending it. I'm against a welfare state, and as a policy wise, our goal should be nobody is dependent on government. That should be our goal. I argue because that's degrading to the human and that's not human flourishing and that traps people. Okay. Now, is that realistic that we can get rid of an entire welfare apparatus? Probably not. No. I mean, in theory, could it work if we were a virtuous people? Sure. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
But James and Anthony got into an area I had never thought of before. And again, both these guys are like incredibly free market, somewhere conservative libertarian. I mean, they're on the right. But here's James bringing up a point and kind of a theory that I'd never thought before. What do you think about this? And this again is from the Words and Numbers podcast.
Sooner or later, violence will show up at your door if you continue not to care. So there's a perfectly self-interested reason to care. And Ant, you've heard me say this over and over and over. I actually believe that welfare is the way we buy the cooperation of the poor. It keeps the poor from revolting. And if that makes me sound like an anti-capitalist, I don't care. It makes me a realistic human being who can see what a political system does to maintain order. And when that breaks down, the order that it was keeping will break down too. So be careful. Be careful how cruel you want to be, and be careful what your policy wishes are. Just be careful, because terrible things could in fact happen.
Buying the cooperation of the poor.
Yep. I have thought of that sort of scenario. I thought that was a more commonly understood concept of why we have so many social service groups or whatever they're called.
Because we talk about it in terms of creating dependency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does that. And I think that's the dehumanizing part. I'd never looked at it from that angle.
Well, and so maybe it's just something from people that are closer to my age, but like our observation is the Democrats are like the welfare party.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they keep their people in line, always voting for them, because you're never going to vote against somebody that's giving you something. And then on the Republican side, it's a lot of entrepreneurs, business people, people that produce things. So on the one hand, yes, in a perfect world, that something like SNAP would be, hey, you're down on your luck or you're changing jobs, whatever the case may be. Here's some temporary food assistance. But in reality, we've seen it become sometimes generational, because that's how people are conditioned. And we think, well, it's the SNAP program that conditions them to think like that. Well, it could be that they allow that sort of thing to happen, because what happens when people stop eating?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, just like what he was saying, is that maybe it should be treated more like a social, I don't want to say a bargaining chip, but like a social, like, hey, this is how we keep the potential, dangerous people from, preoccupied,
or people from becoming dangerous. I mean, so it's a brutal cycle. You expand government to the point of trapping people under it. And then what he's arguing, you basically buy off their compliance because you have the meal ticket, literally, in order to keep them from revolting against being trapped under the system in the first place.
Yes. So it could be viewed somewhat positively, as we should encourage this to keep that sort of, compliance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the maybe more nefarious side of that, though, is I've noticed that there are people in my own personal life that I've encountered where they are comfortable not succeeding because they know it's there. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter that I lost my job. I can just hang out and get a little bit of social service, money. I can get a little bit of help that way. And then they become in this thing, well, I don't want to work too hard because I don't want to lose that. And so that sort of part of it, I think, maybe nefariously, maybe not, but I think it could be used to stop people from achieving what they could achieve. And then not being reliant on the government means that you're not as complicit with what the government does.
Okay. So conceptually, yes. And I think ideologically and theoretically, absolutely yes. What James was arguing there, because right now what you've got are a lot of people are like, hey, shut off the SNAP benefits. Doesn't affect me. Get up off your ass and go get a job. kind of stuff. And he's saying that's perceived as cruelty to people who are dependent on that system. And if they think you're being cruel and they think you're the one denying them food, eventually revolt happens. And so he's saying, as a practical matter, and that's where James wrapped up when he was talking to Anthony, he wrapped up by saying, be careful of what you're asking for. And I'm going to take that to say, even if your policy is moral and ethical and right, and the goal is to get people into self-sufficiency, whether they want to or not, this could be the practical result of pushing people on this. Now, that doesn't mean it's right, but that could be the result.
Yeah, the trade-off of you're going to fund these programs, but in exchange, it makes it so that there's less incentive for the people receiving the benefits of these programs to come and try to kick down your door and take what you have.
Right.
And again, I don't like that might be a dynamic, but in reality, that totally makes sense from a philosophical standpoint.
So basically, you don't want them trying to break into your home in your nice suburb. Well, buy them off with the welfare system and just keep them trapped there. Now, I know that's not what James and Anthony are in favor of. They're just saying that's just the reality right now. You don't want riots in the streets. You don't want them looting your grocery store. Well, then pay them off and keep them on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah. And as Scooter pointed out a few moments ago, when it came to the French Revolution, two of the big complaints was inflation and food scarcity. And again, you can maybe do without electricity for a little bit. It's going to be hot or cold, but you can adjust to that. But when you have nothing to eat, that is when it becomes it's me versus you, and I'm hungry.
Well, we've been saying for, a couple weeks now, when we're looking at, hey, the SNAP thing could actually happen, we were saying, listen, people get really, really, really primal. And if somebody is not in a place in their life where they are providing for themselves and they expect and demand other people to provide for them, when that gets cut off, right, wrong, whatever, that's how they look at it, as somebody taking something from them, even though they're not the ones providing it.
So, and that's, again, two side effects that I've sort of seen is, on the one hand, to your point about being a voluntarist, being somebody with moral, ethical things that does not want to watch somebody starve and suffer. If we did a little bit more on our own to actually help our communities, there would be less need for this sort of what I'm going to start calling them the buy-off program now. And then on the other, flip side of that, the level of entitlement where people that are receiving some of these benefits, not everybody, and again, I don't want to villainize everybody, but enough of them that feel confident posting themselves online right now, they don't understand it's not being taken away from you. It's that we don't have the funds right now. And this is not a sustainable thing. You eating off everybody else's dollar is not something that we can continue doing long term, but that doesn't register to them for some reason.
Yeah. And once again, Words and Numbers is the name of that podcast. And
check them out.
Yeah, it's constantly thought provoking stuff. And those guys, they're good guys. And the other part of that is he was basically saying, is there a case to be made for selfishly saying, sure, mooch off the system because that protects me, because I'm just paying you to stay peaceful and poor, but we're just paying you off to do that. And I wish more people would see that and go, how dare you? How dare you demand I stay compliant and subservient and how dare you say that I become dependent? But unfortunately, that's just not the reality of changing those minds at this point.
Yeah. Well, while we're struggling to figure that out, another great philosophical thought experiment is, what are some songs that get your body moving, be it dancing, headbanging, toe tapping, nodding your head along with, grooving, boogieing, whatever you guys called it back in the 80s. I need your music requests.
Whatever you guys called it back in the 80s.
Back in the day.
I felt that, Jerome.
So go ahead and send me your 80s bump music, dance, headbang, just get your body grooving request to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
All right, you may be heading to work right now. And if you are by Mugi Road, you know what you need to do? You need to put Mario's Donut in your GPS, in your maps right there. And you're going to go get yourself not only maybe a good donut, great donut. We get them here regularly here. I love Mario's Donuts. And yes, even though I'm trying to be super healthy and get in great shape, you can have a donut every once in a while. It's not going to hurt you, okay? My favorites are the ones that have been the favorites since I was 8, which is the one with the sprinkles. But they are fresh. They're made right here. It's not some crusty thing that was made a week ago that's in the convenience store. This is really good stuff. Or you know what? Say, Mike, I don't want to be that unhealthy. You know what? Fine. Get a breakfast sandwich. Get a great cup of coffee. Maybe hang out there at Mario's on Mugi Road. Mario's Donut Restaurant.com. By the way, don't forget they can cater that office party, that birthday party, that meeting that you've got. And they've got great lunch food, gyros and sandwiches, and you name it. Mario's Donut Restaurant.com, or just put in Mario's right there on your map and it'll take you to them right now. Get yourself a great cup of coffee from a locally owned business that just does things better than what you get at those chain and convenience store places. Mario's Donut Restaurant.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
Okay, so the election results around the country, listen, I think they were bad results.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt. There were a couple races I was hoping Miyares could pull that out. That seemed that he could. If there were one, it would be he got blown out just like all the other Republicans. It wasn't even close. We knew Mamdani was going to be the mayor of New York. We knew that was going to happen. And one of the things is I want to caution everybody, don't go apocalyptic on this.
Mm-hmm.
We have had bad eras in our government. We've had the ball swing back and forth before. Now it swings back and forth much faster these days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, we have gone over the course of months to conservatism is on the upswing in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk to the no kings people just won months later, 2.5 months later. Things move that fast. What does this tell us about the 2026 elections? I don't know. I just don't know. And I don't think anybody else does. To Susie's point a little bit earlier, it clearly shows where the energy is.
Mm-hmm.
It clearly shows that the fringe socialist aspect of the Democratic Party, which we've been telling you for 2 years, is taking over the driver's seat. That's where the energy is. And it's not on the right. And the right has had a very tenuous coalition that's been kind of hanging by a thread in the first place. And there's a lot of obviously massive conflicts and debates happening. And so maybe, and I'm not going to get into it big, but maybe, do purges need to happen? Well, some people, I think probably, but you look at 2026 and it should be something that the right looks and go, what just happened? Why did that happen? That's the big question.
Yeah, and to the point about the energy as well, of the political, I would call them like smaller groups, but I mean, let's just say no kings generically.
Right.
I mean, and they've told us this over and over and over again for the past few years, but really, these people view us, the right in general, even the centers, even the moderate left, which they consider right now, they consider us as a threat to their existence. It's like trying to convince somebody with a phobia or schizophrenic episode or something of that nature that you don't have to fear that, you don't have to be worried about that. That's not real, but that's how ingrained that is. And so it's not just about not only wanting to play nice and disagreeing on policy and being trying to figure out the best solution. It is about quite literally, we need to stomp it out. We need to destroy the right. We need to fight back. We need to, basically do everything within our ability to remove any sort of representation from us, from our society.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get all panicky and doom and gloom. And I don't think, we just survived the Biden administration.
Right.
So we're resilient.
Yeah.
But if Mamdani's policies work, then I would imagine that the people that are watching them are going to say, well, we have this person in our city that might be a Mamdani. So I'm going to get rid of the moderate or the maybe a little bit more extreme, but not totally fringe Democrat. And we're going to go all the way that way without realizing, just because potentially if it does work in New York, does not mean it's going to work in Chicago. It's not going to work elsewhere.
And when you say work, you're not saying improve, just achieve their goals.
That it doesn't completely drive out all the job producers and all the wealth and all the people that actually want to have any sort of a American lifestyle in the city of New York.
Yeah. Who was it that was on, was it Larry Elder? I think I saw him kind of assessing what Mamdani can do. Because there's a lot that he just can't do.
Yeah.
The mayor is very powerful in New York City, but it's not dictatorial as much as they probably would like it to be. What can he do? Can he push through more rent freezes and rent controls? Yes. New York City is not a free market city at all.
No.
That's terrible policy. It's been proven it's terrible policy. It's created a bigger homeless issue in New York City. You can't even really refute that. It's the opposite of what their stated goal is what happens. So you've got that. You've got the something like the top, I think 2 or 3% of income earners pay over half of the taxes into New York City. So it doesn't take very many of them to actually have an effect even on $1 trillion economy, which is what New York City is. Obviously, you've got the public safety and the crime issue, and you saw the turnaround that Rudy Giuliani had. And I'm not getting to where really Rudy Giuliani ended up in politics, but at the time, he took a hard line on law and order, and he turned things right. You didn't used to go, downtown New York City. Now you can walk around, New York City, not without a problem. I would say without a problem.
Well, there for a period of time you could
in the Times Square area, and their main areas you can. And so Mamdani's stated goals would undermine so many common sense things in the name of his socialist ideology. He told you who and what he is, so believe him, and he's going to try to implement that as much as he can. And he's coming in with a tremendous amount of mandate from his voters, and it is a mandate. It's a mandate that punches yourself in the mouth, but that's what they're going to do. So does that mean that the Republicans are doomed in 2026? No, it does not. But it means that they need to figure some stuff out.
And that we need to make sure that we're going out and we're voting and we're supporting, we're raising awareness for the right candidates. So, and this, I guess, might be my wishful thinking, but the socialist people that like Mamdani, it could be that they are just a very highly concentrated in New York. And unfortunately for the people of New York City, that now that's who they have to have as their mayor. But I guess the reality of the situation as well is we've already seen people trying to flee. Now, what I did was I left deep blue Chicago. I came down here. I was like, wow, like Republicans and conservative values this is a lot better. And I embraced that. And I did that. But what I'm worried about more so is that the people that are maybe not socialist left, but they're still further left, they're going to start going elsewhere, and they're going to say, wow, look at all the great things this deep red area, was able to do before I got here, but it needs a little bit of more of me here. And then next thing you know, they're just enabling the same thing that they just try to flee from.
Well, we see that in California when they've gone to places like Austin, Texas, or San Antonio, Texas. They're fleeing the impact of the bad policies, and then they bring those and vote for them in the areas they flee to. So we know that happens. It would make a lot more sense if Californians went, I want to stay in a blue area. I'm going to Colorado, or I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to flee New York. I'm going to go to Connecticut. I'm going to go to New Hampshire. I'm going to go to Maine. I'm going to go, to one of those. We can go to Virginia now, so I'm going to go to one of those areas, but where are the most attractive places to land if you're trying to escape high taxes, high regulation, all that? Well, you go to Florida, you go to Texas.
Yeah, it's funny. You never see Republicans being like, wow, I just can't take all this economic freedom. Let me go to a blue city. Like, it's funny how that only ever works one way, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's an awful lot of money left in my pocket that after that paycheck. I think I need to start house hunting in Chicago.
Man, I just can't stand people that have strong religious values that care about the community, man.
No. We need to get rid of that. I need somebody to crack down on that. Oh, good God. All right. So bottom line is this, am I disappointed with the results? Sure. I'm sad. Am I surprised by them? No, I'm not. But am I going to be despondent and think the world is ending? I'm not. We're resilient. Things go back and forth. We have to limit the damage here, and we need to put the right values in the position to win next year.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial.